Yo, what is up, party people? It's time to play the Every Time Joe Tessitore and Max Kellerman Say Zuffa Boxing to Take a Shot game, all right? And we're going to do this throughout the night with my I don't want to die tonight, so I will do it with water and not any form of alcohol whatsoever. But I don't, we gotta see this stuff for ourselves tonight. The inaugural Zuffa boxing card about to start with the main 3 fights. I was watching the undercard. Gonna wait some people to get into the live chat. And checked on YouTube. Not a lot of people really plugged in on the lives or tuning in to said lives on this. I was just curious what the numbers would be looking like across the board. So, but yeah, man, we got boxing to call tonight. Probably a lot of people that tune into my channel understand the criticisms and the stands I've taken against Riyadh season and Zuffa boxing. But at the end of the day, boxing is the sport I cover, and I think I'd be remiss not checking out this first card and calling some of the action here on the channel. Didn't apply for a credential. Couldn't work up the conviction to apply for one. And also, my ego didn't want to give them the chance to say no or give them the satisfaction to say no. So we're going to do what we do here, where we got the freedom to say whatever we want here on the channel. Good, bad, ugly, and fair. And that's what we'll be doing. So Julian Rodriguez, a fighter I covered for some years on Top Rank, a guy that I have had some good conversations with back in the day. Had a good convo with Julian Rodriguez, especially back at the Spence Ugas fight. I remember we chopped it up in the lobby for a while. And actually, Avis Griffin, the last fighter he just knocked out, did confirm he's getting his best payday of his career here. And I know a few fighters on the undercard who are getting their best payday. No huge surprise there when the money's always the best when a company starts first, like PBC, like Matchroom with DAZN, like Turkey Al Sheikh. So no surprise there. Obviously we'll see if that trend continues or if it's going to wind up like Justin Gaethje headlining at YouTube or T-Mobile and talking about 14 bonuses and he still won't see $1 million. But I mean, guys all know how I felt about that shit, so let's see what we got now. Early thoughts on the card. I tweeted some good things about it because the broadcast is sharp. But shit, I'll share it now before we get started with the main fight. So let me see right here. Get on my Twitter. What's up, people? Party people entering the chat. And here we go. Let's check out some of the stuff I said earlier tonight. And that was, and by the way, I will be covering Murataya Cruz, very good fight tomorrow night. So Robert Merriweather, who I was maybe looking forward to seeing the most on this card, I said that he probably has the highest upside of any fighter on this inaugural card, looking sharp. He did look sharp. He is 20 years old, and I've been knowing Robert, as you can see from this picture, since he was 15 years old, training with Floyd in the Mayweather gym. He tapered off after a really sharp first 3 rounds. He tapered off a little bit. Got to work on that, but good, very good prospect, Robert Merriweather. One of Robert Garcia's prospects, who was it? Emiliano. I got to check again. Emiliano Cardenas, right. Emiliano Cardenas. I want to say Ornelas because Ornelas just fought in the fight before. But yeah, Emiliano Cardenas looked good. And I wound up saying, sharp, slick broadcast thus far. Andre and Max are excellent as always. Good young talent on the card so far. Good matchmaking, good action, just keeping it real. And, but then I did, and I'll get into that in a second. Someone said, you went from calling out Dana to this. And what I had to remind him was, you've got to give credit where credit is due. And the overselling is getting old quick, though, which I'll reference in another one in a minute. But, and I just mentioned the guy saying, oh, well, the Ali Act cap and all that stuff. And I said, look, man, I have called much of that out over and over again. If you never give credit where it's due alongside your criticism, it'll quickly get tuned out by most people. So there you go. And then he mentioned Dana's FBI investigation, which I hope goes through. They're trying to squash that by complaining about their First Amendment rights. And that reminds me of Dan Moldea writing about the Jimmy Hoffa stuff and Ronald Reagan being created by the mob and MCA. MCA was the biggest talent agency, and now Endeavor is, which is Ari Emanuel. So it's kind of funny because Ari was Trump's agent, and the book by Dan Moldea, and Dan Moldea always talked about gangsters and wise guys. They would always complain about their First Amendment rights and being spied on and all those kinds of things to keep themselves from getting caught up in their organized crime. And funny enough, the book was called The Mob, MCA, and Creating Ronald Reagan, because Ronald Reagan was an actor and eventually became president and all that, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a fuck about Republicans and Democrats. They both suck. But there is a parallel there, because now you could say, instead of MCA, the Mob and Ronald Reagan, you could say Endeavor, Ari Emanuel, and Donald Trump. So, and some parallels there. But anyways, I did wind up saying, all right, now some of the broadcasters just drifted into selling Zuffa over and over again, which I kind of think it has. Oh, oops, not supposed to show that. And, yeah, so I do think while the action was hot early, and I enjoyed seeing guys like Robert Merriweather early, and it's been good action. A lot of fighting in the pocket. This fight should be entertaining between Julian Rodriguez and Cain Sandoval. And again, I know a number of guys who are getting career-high paydays on the undercard who wouldn't otherwise be getting fights, or they did get fights on a Top Rank or Matchroom or other cards, and or Top Rank for sure. But they are getting I would have to double check the Matchroom part. Mayweather shows like Robert Merriweather, and they're getting their career-high payday, so give credit where it's due. But yeah, Roscoe Dash says, Sean, man, gee, you have switched up. You're up their ass now. I'm not up their ass. I'm home. I didn't even apply to go to the show. But, freedom of the press means even if you're critical of them, you still get to cover what you want. And that's how that goes. There's a lot of people, I've always made the analogy that there's a lot of people that cover the White House or cover Wall Street, and they can't fucking stand Wall Street or whoever's in the White House at a given time. But it's called freedom of the press, my man. So shout out to you. Shout out to you, Roscoe Dash. But yeah, we got some boxing to call, man. We do got some boxing to call at the end of the day. And I got to watch and get some live thoughts from you guys tuning into the card. I got to see if you guys like it, what we think is good or not good or whatever. So shout out to everybody. Tress Watch, what's going on, brother? Thank you for the super chat. Says, we love you, bro. Thanks for all you do. Strike First FC says, Max Schilling for TKO is too much for me. I grew up on that guy's commentary. It's disappointing to hear him since he signed with TKO. Yeah, I agree. Again, early on, it was, because the fights were good, and I have a soft spot for Robert Merriweather. I was looking forward to watching him fight. I was like, man, and the matchmaking's been good. This has been like strong pro box matchmaking throughout the card, and it's been good action. Part of me will wonder if we see guys fight in the pocket, fight after fight, card after card, if they got a talking to by Zuffa, the way Dana began to tell guys in MMA, hey, you got to stand up more, you can't wrestle or whatever. I don't watch that stuff, but that would be something I look at as we go forward. But as of right now, it's the first card. It would be too early to tell. And yeah, the selling for Zuffa, the show started with like Max talking about how the rear hand, if you could land it at long range, it usually means you're a special talent. And then it just started drifting into a lot of selling. Again, if you want to get drunk or die of alcoholism, if you want to kill your liver tonight, do the Zuffa boxing. Every time they sell Zuffa boxing to you, take a shot game. I will play the game, but with bottles of water so that I don't die. But now, all right, here we go. Julian Rodriguez up against Cain Sandoval, and we'll see what's up. Gonna be a lot of chicanery in this era? Probably. But hey, everybody consented to it. We reap what we sow. So let's see what we get. But yeah, probably. All right, round one. Julian Rodriguez against Cain Sandoval. Cain Sandoval's midsection looking soft. And, maybe Julian will take advantage of that to the midsection at some point. Not that familiar with Cain Sandoval, even with the 15 knockouts and 17 wins. I know Julian's fought much better opposition. His only loss was to Jose Pedraza. And Julian right away getting off first with his jab a lot quicker and sharper off the draw to get this fight started. Nice little steps over to the left by Julian Rodriguez. And again, Sandoval, first thing that sticks out about Sandoval is that soft midsection that Rodriguez could look. Oh, there's a straight right hand to the body off the jab by Julian Rodriguez. And Rodriguez just getting off first with the jab. And some of that tough guy demeanor of Sandoval already, not as literally in the first minute, already fading a little bit compared to all that energy he gave Julian. And it's Julian who looks switched on with the more intense demeanor. Body language could tell you a lot about a fight. So first minute of the fight, Julian Rodriguez fighting off his jab and looking sharp, looking mean, and stepping around to his left and stepping around to his right. Little feint there by Julian Rodriguez, keeping it in the center of the ring now. Sandoval trying to take his time and mount some pressure. Julian's back, touches the ropes for the first time. Now Rodriguez escapes out to his right, jabs to the stomach. Now Sandoval looking a little bit more comfortable after getting touched with the jab in the first minute. And he's getting closer to Rodriguez now and making Rodriguez's back touch the ropes more. Good little touch right hand to the body by Sandoval, getting underneath the 1 and the 2 by Rodriguez. Rodriguez stepping over to his left. Rodriguez back touches the ropes again. Sandoval measuring and pawing with the jab, making that back touch the ropes. So I'd like to see Rodriguez, for his sake, get off to his jab a little bit more now. He's gotten away from the jab already, and it's making his back touch the ropes a lot more. Now a left hook to the body by Julian Rodriguez, and he touches up top. There's the jab of Rodriguez in the center of the ring. Sandoval taking little steps with that, kind of Mexican rhythm when they apply pressure, get that little not bounce in their step, but that little bit of motion in their step. Gets Rodriguez on the ropes. Rodriguez now, some of that intense demeanor wearing off a little bit, but nice right uppercut off a right hand to the body in the center of the ring by Rodriguez. He's got to be the thinking man against this pressure of Sandoval. Good jab by Rodriguez, keeping it in the center of the ring. Hands up. Nice sweeping right hand to the body, though, by Sandoval with Rodriguez up against the ropes. And a good jab to the body by Sandoval with Rodriguez up against the ropes. Rodriguez getting pushed to the ropes a lot after that first minute. Good left hook to the body by Sandoval, but back comes Rodriguez with a left hook to the body as well. So Rodriguez in the corner now. On the ropes, and that'll do it for round one. That round goes to Rodriguez. He got off to a good first minute, and then that pressure started to mount a little bit. And yeah, if I'm being honest, it feels a little weird commentating a Zuffa boxing card, man. In the face of all the political games played by them and the larger implications of said political games getting played, it does feel a little awkward for me to just call this like it's another fight. It does. And of course, I got people in the back of my head and what they might say about me ringing in my head too. Just being fully transparent with the audience here. But so you guys bring to me in the chat whatever you want. What's up, Panama? Strike First FC says Apex Center looks much better formatted for boxing than it does configured for MMA. It's definitely an intimate thing. Shinobi says, loving the short promos before each fight, gets you invested in every fighter's story, builds a nice narrative, and not just the main attract. I thought some were better than others. Yes, I enjoyed the Robert Merriweather and his opponent one. I thought some of the other ones were kind of cookie cutter. I'm a fighter, I love to fight, and Zuffa boxing's great. Like some of that stuff. Some of the other ones were better than the others. It is what it is. They're all quick packages. Yeah, some of them were cookie cutters. Some of them were better than others. The ones I enjoyed the most were Robert and his opponent. Maybe that's because I like Robert and know back to him. Polymath says, feels weird to watch it. It does in a sense. It's weird. It has this blend of high production value with it really just also feeling like a club show. And is it me, or did Kellerman and Dre come out the gates hot and then kind of settled in a little bit, and then it just turned into a lot of selling by Joe Tessitore and Max Kellerman, and Dre kind of getting a little more quiet in the team? But good left hook by Rodriguez up against the ropes, and Sandoval gets him up against, is pressing the ropes. A good left double right uppercut by Rodriguez to get himself off the ropes back into the center of the ring. That was good stuff right there. One to the body, one to the head on that last sequence for Rodriguez. Rodriguez touching with the jab with his back near the ropes and just placing shots right now. Placing shots amongst the storm by Sandoval's pressure. Sandoval not as fast, not as sharp with his punches as Julian Rodriguez, but eats the jab. He's still, though, he's trying to impose that will and that pressure on Rodriguez. Rodriguez stepping over the center of the ring. Good right hand to the body by Rodriguez. Comes back up with a left hook. Back on his jab. Adrian Pennant says Zuffa boxing looks really good. Looks really good. I like it. Yeah, it's sharp. It's a sharp broadcast. And again, Dre and Max are great at what they do, but I did feel like the show started to drift a little bit during the preliminaries. I can't hear the commentary now. Good right uppercut by Sandoval a second ago with Rodriguez on the ropes. Rodriguez does look a little uncomfortable by some of this pressure in the heavy hands of Sandoval. He's going to have to switch on, punch off his pivots, not allow Sandoval. Oh, they have an advancing stat against a retreating stat. So that's what I mean. I wonder how much Zuffa wants these guys to fight aggressively and even augment some of their styles a little bit. Because you're not seeing a lot of guys take a walk, slow the pace down, feint and probe. You're seeing a lot of punching, which I get it. That's what you want out of the product a lot of the time. But I think, you purists out there watching with me will kind of get what I'm saying. But good right uppercut. 2 right uppercuts on the inside by Sandoval, and he might already be starting to break Julian Rodriguez down a little bit. I got 1 round apiece right there. Will I be live on Cruz Morataya? No, I'll be at that show tomorrow night here in Vegas. I didn't apply for this show, but definitely will be in the building for Cruz Morataya tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to that fight. Palm Tree 1, what's up, brother, says, appreciate it, Sean. The uniformity of it all looks dystopian. Yeah, it does got a bit of a soulless feel to it. It does. But it also has a professional, feel to it that DAZN has never quite had. DAZN feels bootleg a lot of times. It just does. It feels like some weird money-washing thing of a rich Russian oligarch called Leonard Blavatnik. It does feel kind of like this European kind of second-rate thing because it's kind of what it is. But this is Paramount. This is the people who broadcast the NFL. But the NFL feels soulless a lot now, too. So you get your good... I'm trying to be fair here and say what's good about it. It's a professional, slick-looking broadcast. Max and Dre are 2 of the best in the business. But, yeah, it also feels kind of soulless. And I definitely understand what you mean by the dystopian thing. They're inside of an Apex Center with some of the most powerful people, in... combat sports and in entertainment ringside. Ari Emanuel's, right there watching and all that. So, yeah, I get it. It looks like corporate boxing, says Wolf. J-Mall says, I was surprised by the people they have selected to be the face of the company. Do you have inside knowledge about this? Not really. No, just that it's a lot of people that were on the ESPN shows previously. Not a lot, a couple. Yeah, some ESPN talent, period. Molly Quirm. People like Heidi Androl who aren't really connected to boxing. I think Heidi used to be on some of the PBC shows. So, a lot of experience, big names. So, all right, back to the action, minute into it. And, yeah, Rodriguez's face is busting up a little bit under this pressure of Sandoval. Lands his jab, steps out. Rodriguez cornered, left hook to the body by Sandoval. Back comes Rodriguez, down low, lands a left hook to the body again, left hook up top. He's fighting off the ropes hard, touching that body a lot with the right hand and the left hook. Again, it's a shame we're never going to get that mix between corporate money and people who clearly love the sport. HBO monopoly has led to nobody having any cash just to spend on passion projects. It's like everyone is auditioning for a long-term contract and was told no Tom and Jerry boxing. Yeah, I hear you, Dre. Get that vibe a little bit. But Other people would say, just shut the fuck up. It's good action. It's good action. It's good fight. This does feel weird for me a little bit, chat. It does. Even when I'd commentate some of the Riyadh season shit, it didn't. It's just weird. It didn't quite feel like this. This just feels a little weird for me. But it's good action. It's good action. They're exchanging with Rodriguez up against the ropes, both landing some uppercuts. I mean, Rodriguez this round is landing the cleaner shots, but the overall pressure of Sandoval, he looks like the more comfortable fighter, weathering what's coming his way. Rodriguez looks worse for wear. So kind of like Matias and Dalton Smith, you know, he's arguably winning this battle, this third round, but it looks like he's losing the war. Yeah, he is taking deep breaths, and Sandoval looks bigger than him as the fight goes on. That body, that torso that doesn't have a lot of cut and definition to it, it looks like it could just absorb what's coming its way better than what Rodriguez is able to absorb right now. So, hey, what's up, Tay-Day? What's going on, brother? So, but yeah, Drench, good comment. I could definitely see that. What do I think about them not having 22, 30, 40, 54, 68? I mean, you know, I get it. They're addressing a lot of the baseline complaints people have had. Too many weight classes, too many belts, and they're like, okay, well, let's actually institute that. And, you know, people are going to find out how they really feel about that, you know? So, we'll see. Part of me is like, maybe I should have just chilled on the couch and just watched this from afar and gave a full synopsis when the night is over. Because again, for me to kind of just commentate the action like it's another night of boxing is, again, something about it is a little odd for your boy. It's probably the worst round by round call you may ever hear on the channel. And I almost want it to be just as much as people's input in the chat that are watching at home and seeing what you guys think about it. Again, the numbers are staggeringly low. Like, we get more numbers here on the chat for almost any other fight, and so does the other channels that are live right now when I checked beforehand. Definitely covering the fights tomorrow, Tay-Day. Looking forward to that. Now that I will be up for and feeling normal covering. So, yeah, 100%. Raymond Murataya, Andy Cruz, that's a good-ass fight. Man, Murataya and Robert Garcia got that. I mean, Raymond's got the professional experience edge. Raymond's got that, you know, check out my final thoughts video if you have time today. But Raymond's got that Inland Empire, a.k.a. the Insane Empire, dead serious, focused energy. Little things I noted during the fight after the weigh-in fight week stuff was like, okay, so at the press conference, Murataya, he had that same look that Bud Crawford had before the Canelo fight at their press conference. Canelo was laughing, enjoying it. Remember, he was telling me and Dana, fight, fight, fight. And Bud just was unmoved by anything. You know, you couldn't get a rise out of him. You couldn't get any kind of animated engagement out of him. Meanwhile, Canelo was waving at fans, had his shades on, had his tank top on. Like, he was enjoying the crowd, the stage. He was, you know, soaking it up when me and Dana got into it and all that. And Bud was just totally, all he cared about was handling his business. And that was Murataya, you know, and again, really good action right now. Both fighters landing a lot of good shots, but it's Sandoval that Rodriguez can't keep off of him. Rodriguez eating a couple of uppercuts, minute left in this round. It looks like Rodriguez is getting broken down by Sandoval's pressure, heavier hands, and better punch resistance right now. And Rodriguez isn't able to hold the center of the ring, isn't able to keep him off with anything. So Sandoval is winning this war right now. Even if Rodriguez is still having, good left hook to the body by Sandoval. Rodriguez, his body, you know, sinking in against the ropes a little bit from some of that body work from Sandoval. Sandoval is having a good body shot again and a right uppercut by Sandoval. And nice left hook to the body by Julian Rodriguez. Left hook to the body again by Julian Rodriguez. But Rodriguez getting broken down, man. But yeah, anyway, back to Murataya Cruz. There was, so while Khalil Cole and Jesse Hart were doing tons of antics at the press conference, you know, and Eddie Hearn, was doing his comedy hour, was doing his, sharp, quick, witty British humor. Cruz would be laughing, and he was getting a kick out of Khalil Cole and Jesse Hart. Meanwhile, Raymond Murataya, looked like he damn near wanted to kill somebody. Dead serious. No games being played at all. And then after the weigh-in today, Cruz, 30, 45 minutes after the weigh-in, still walking around the lobby, still taking pictures with a few people. Murataya was long gone. And I remember, an old phrase boxing trainers would say is, "Hey, champ, get off your feet. Get off your feet. Kick your feet up, get off your feet." And they would say that after a fighter weighs in and everything, handles whatever media he may have had to handle, go up to the room and rest and get ready for the battle tomorrow night. And so I look at little things like that on fight week when you're able to cover these fights. And then also just Robert Garcia having so much more experience at this level than Bozy Ennis. This is a big test for Bozy Ennis tomorrow night. I really like Bozy Ennis. He's a super cool dude to talk to. Can whoop people's ass at damn near 70 years old. The man looks, 50, 55, and he's 70. His body still looks like a man in his 40s. But his son is one of the most special talents in the game. But he isn't a quarter as decorated a trainer as Robert or experienced at this level. Robert and Raymond look like two men ready to handle their business. And Andy Cruz is having fun. And I get it. That's who Andy Cruz is. He's more of a lighthearted, jovial personality. Raymond Murataya is more of a brooding introvert. So they are being who they are. But just things I take note of heading into fight night. Now, at the end of the day, Cruz is going to be quicker on the trigger. I think his right hand could hurt Raymond Murataya, but he does not have the speed advantage that people may think he has or he thought he has. Raymond Murataya has fast hands too, and Cruz is going to have to hold up and show he has a chin and show he has the metal to hold up in the second half of that kind of fight. I don't think he's going to win it just going away without resistance if he is going to win it. So I'm not picking that fight. I'm just looking forward to it. So boxing Magic Mech side said tomorrow, real boxing major league shit. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's an actual world title fight at the world championship level. This is a lot of very solid to good prospects and solid to good mid-level fighters on this card with slick production value and a high-priced broadcast team. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's up. Tomorrow night is the one I'm looking forward to more than tonight's show. But we got to keep trying to just keep an open mind and keep things fair and objective. So we'll see. T says Two Sizzle says Sean got the flavor. Dope hoodie, bro. It is the Carl Kanai Pac hoodie. I had to buy it. So had to buy the Tupac Carl Kanai hoodie. I know it may get some people looking at me sideways, calling me the dreaded W word, but whatever. I like the hoodie. Gotta live your life, right? So Rodriguez though, in the 5th round down the stretch, again getting put on the ropes a lot, getting clubbed with shots, gets hit with a right hand coming off the ropes. 20 seconds left. Switch southpaw for a second. Switches back orthodox. And yeah, Sandoval getting him close to the ropes again. Nice right uppercut by Sandoval. Maybe Rodriguez could settle in and start absorbing these punches better. Maybe Sandoval has to slow down a little bit. But Sandoval feels like he's in control and just mounting his pressure right now. And he's controlling the ring by far. So they're not hip to the Carl Kanai. No, sir. No, sir. What's up, Just Do? Said Sean Zittel. Peace, Sean. Great work. Just give your just due. Giving you your just due. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Drench said, I think Cruz been feeling himself a little bit much since he's been in Bozy's gyms around Boots. He may be getting his and Boots' accomplishments mixed up. Well, I mean, I wonder if he's fighting in the pocket too much. Remember Meldrick Taylor with all that speed and everything wound up getting caught by Chavez in the 12th round and a few rounds before that, getting broken down before Chavez. had that very controversial Richard Steele stoppage. But point being, that Philly in him didn't do him favors against a heavy-handed Mexican fighter. And I do wonder if Bozy has programmed Andy to fight in the pocket too much, because Andy needs to be smart. It can't, even if he's getting off, because Andy's going to get off to a good start, but he can't fall in love with staying in there with Raymond too much. And Raymond has good timing, and that's where Raymond thinks he knocks him out, is by timing him, punching with him at the same time. So Skipper, this guy, Coach, I think I know Coach Skip from the Fight Capital gym, but Skipper has had some weird scorecards tonight. He gave Robert Merriweather a 10-8 round that none of the official judges gave him. He was like, even without a knockdown, I gave it 10-8. And it's like, sorry, bro, nobody actually scores 10-8 rounds without knockdowns in the last 2 decades. That just doesn't go down. So he has Rodriguez up 4-1, and I'm not scoring. I mean, I'm hardly commentating the entire rounds, but I just don't see it that way. I think Sandoval is making it more his fight. Again, not really scoring the rounds, and Rodriguez has landed plenty of good shots, but so has Sandoval. And I think in a fight where it's very give and take, nip and tuck, I think Sandoval imposing his will more on Julian Rodriguez, might be giving him the edge through the first half of the fight. But he is getting a little bit frustrated. He is starting to get touched with shots. Rodriguez is off to a decent 6th round in the first half right now. And he has stabilized himself a little bit in the last round or so. So, Sean Zitelago mixtape dropping soon. Yes, sir. Andy been wobbled before, and Raymond can crack too. Yes, indeed, he can. Oh, yeah, Carl Canay is from Panama. You're right. You're right, Panama. That's right. I saw that interview where he said that. Right, he's from New York. Started it in Brooklyn. But, yeah, okay, but let's be fair to Andy. Yes, he got hurt twice by Antonio Moran, but Murataya got dropped clean by Galindo. So Murataya, he could be dropped too. It's been proven. So, and I don't think Andy's ever been dropped. He's just been rocked. So, I think Andy could hurt Raymond Murataya too, and he might have to early so that Murataya respects his power later in the fight, and he makes Murataya, who can be too patient sometimes, keep that patience. But yeah, good action in this 6th round. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird for me to call this action right now. I kind of just want to talk to you guys and give a general view of the fight. That was a nice 3-punch combination by Julian Rodriguez in the center of the ring. Julian Rodriguez has stabilized himself here in this 6th round. And now he's finally in the center of the ring for a significant duration at this point of the fight. He's kind of weathered the storm, and now it looks like the momentum is swinging back to Rodriguez, who got off with a good first round for sure. And then his back started touching the ropes in rounds 2 through 5 very consistently. And this is the most he's kept the fight in the center of the ring since the first round, early in the first round. Rodriguez won that 6th round. So it's a close competitive fight. Aztec says, where can I watch the fights tonight? It is on Paramount. So I don't know if you can buy promotions, but if you can you see Zuffa buying Top Rank being a play? Yeah, I could definitely see it. I mean, I don't think Todd DeBuff's a worthy successor to Bob Arum, and they don't still have a broadcast deal right now. So, no, Aztec, it's on Paramount Plus. Thanks for asking. But yeah, I could see that happening. I mean, what's their long-term plans without Bob Arum, who's 94 years old, without the Bob father? What's the vision? Who's the big brain? They got a lot of capable people at Top Rank that I respect. My man Brad Goodman, Bruce Trampler, Evan Korn, Carl Moretti too, and all. I respect the whole team. I love the social media team. Those are my peoples, man. But you need a captain of the ship, and Arum's 94 years old, so I don't know. So, all right, round 7 into this fight of Zuffa boxing. Let's just commentate like Joe Tessitore. That'll make things easier. Round 7 of this inaugural Zuffa boxing card, and it is a war, the kind of war you can expect consistently on Zuffa boxing, which is what the sport needs, right, Max? Is that good? Did I see Benavidez and Ryan training together? I did. Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that nice? Because Benavidez didn't always like Ryan. He called him out even before the Ostarine pop for blowing weight against Devin Haney. Picked Devin Haney to beat him. Didn't seem like a Ryan Garcia fan in all the interviews I did with him. But now those two Chicano brothers have buried the hatchet and are showing off who could shoe shine faster. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'm not mad at the commentary crew, a little nostalgic. No. I mean, they're all three of the top pros in the game. It was just after the first couple fights, they're laying it on thick about Zuffa. I think Max did his. I've been waiting for this since I was a kid for the fourth time tonight to start off the main three fights. But yeah, Rodriguez though ripping to the body, finishing up with a straight right hand. He stabilized himself and could probably see the light at the end of the tunnel now. Because, earlier on in the fight, it's like, fuck, I got to deal with 10 rounds of this kind of pressure. But once you weather that storm and the guy slows down that output a little bit, you can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And Rodriguez is lighting Sandoval up right now with his back against the ropes. Rodriguez fighting beautifully off the ropes right now, snapping that head around with left hook, straight right hand over and over again. Left hook to the body, left hook up top. They're trading on the inside, and Rodriguez is getting the better of it, outlanding him 3 or 4 to 1. But it's Sandoval keeping Rodriguez pinned against the ropes, but Rodriguez can feel he's starting to beat the stuffing out of him a little bit and maybe taking some of the sap out of those left hooks to the body by Sandoval with his back against the ropes. Nah, the Tess impression was crazy. I thought I got it going there for a minute. I thought I did my thing there for a moment. I'm not going to lie. And what you're seeing... No, I can't do Max, right? I used to have a good Max. I can't do it anymore. And I feel like I'd be player hating on a guy I looked up to growing up. Julian Rodriguez. I can't even do tests now. It was a moment. It came to me spontaneously. But yeah, Rodriguez has swung the momentum in this fight. And he looks more comfortable having to fight against the rope. I mean, he is nailing Sandoval with right hands and left hooks while keeping his back on the ropes, fighting off the ropes beautifully. And it's been all action tonight for the most part. I do wonder if they're being told, like Dana told the MMA guys, hey, you got to stand up and not wrestle. I do wonder if they've been told you got to fight a certain way. We want to incentivize you to keep it in the pocket. I do wonder that. So Sean, you doing more with your hands like you doing move with your hands like you did before. I'm not. The hands ain't coming out so much. Thank you, Christian Salvador said can't support Dana. Thank you for the super chat. I wish I could give you some words to make your $50 worth. For what it's worth, Christian, I didn't apply. I'm not there. I don't know, chat. Should I don't know. I don't know. I'm human. When they did the Give Me Shelter ad, and seriously, thank you, Christian. When they did the Give Me Shelter ad with the Rolling Stones, look, I'm a big fucking Martin Scorsese fan. So if you play Give Me Shelter like it's a Martin Scorsese movie, to use a wrestling term, I will mark out a little bit. I will be a mark for that song. And then Max was talking about boxing is the greatest sport of all time and the history of it. And, for a minute there, the weakness in me made me like, damn, man, what am I going to do? Like, I love boxing. I got into this sport 20 years ago and have been covering it for 17 years since I was a teenager because I wanted to smell the leather up close and cover the fighters and cover boxing for real. Not just always do it here in the basement, which is super fun. But, like tomorrow night, I love actually being there for Murataya Cruz. So I'm human. I'm like, fuck, man, what am I going to do? I've spoke from the heart. I've done what I think is right, made this stand and called out everything I think I need to call out from the fucking geopolitical spectrum to that, to this, to that, taking it deeper than boxing, blah, 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 blah. But what am I going to do? They might monopolize the entire sport at the highest level. And I live here. They're down the street. And I miss covering boxing on a consistent basis. Ever since Turkey took over the highest level of the game, I hardly get to cut. Like, thank God for Murataya Cruz tomorrow night. But I used to get to cover this at least on a monthly basis in Las Vegas, if not at Sam's Town with the fucking Mayweather Promotions cards. And You know, even Roy Jones would have cards downtown, and you know, all that shit just died over the years. And I'm like, so what the fuck am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Is this state property? Am I gonna have to get down or lay down? So it's like a moment of weakness, and then I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll just have to do this for my basement a lot, I guess. And really, what I've been doing the last 2 weeks is getting back to going to the gyms. And I hope you guys have enjoyed that on the channel, all the in the gym interviews with the fighters and everything. So it's not about wanting to kiss up and get in the good grade, because I would never do that with Dana and TKO, never. But and the promoters I've been covering more and more, I got tougher and tougher in my coverage of them over the years as I grew as a journalist and as a man, and graduated with my degree and all that other stuff. And you know, I grill Eddie Hearn. I've grilled Eddie Hearn a number of times, but there's a respect and rapport there. I'd be lying if I said there isn't. Same with Arum. And same with a lot of the fighters at PBC that I called out, because you don't actually get to talk to Al Heyman, which is some bullshit at some point. But you know, Eddie and Bob stand and deliver, and Al never did. And you know, I have a level of respect for him too, because of all the great nights I've had in real life covering a lot of PBC cards. But yeah, to make a long story short, it was like, what am I gonna do? Because I don't want to. I will never sell out and all that, but I got into this sport to actually cover boxing, and then all these deeper ramifications came with people like Ari Emanuel and them changing U.S. law and all this stuff, and Saudi Arabia using it with their public investment fund. All this shit I could have never foreseen happening 10, 15 years ago happened, and I did what I think was right, and that's a big reason why I'm not there tonight. But at the end of the day, I gotta cover boxing. That's what I do. That's what I dedicated my life to doing. So kind of caught between a rock and a hard place if Zuffa TKO is able to take over the sport, and once Turkey's money dries up and PBC Tank going to jail, and if Benavidez has to wind up fighting Opataya on Zuffa, or Top Rank never gets their deal, and Eddie Hearn has hitched his wagon, and Golden Boy's on their way out, it's like they may take over the whole thing and monopolize it like they did mixed martial arts, and it puts me in a tough spot. But I'll pray about it and do what's right. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, Christian Salvador. And then Christian Salvador also says, please don't sell out, but if you do, keep it real, not like Max Kellerman. Right. Well, I'll tell you what, there is maybe a scenario. What I've resigned myself to is whether I ever cover Zuffa boxing in person with a credential. That is, if they'd ever let me, because even though I'm definitely all First Amendment, I'm educated enough to know the First Amendment does not extend to private companies. That doesn't mean you're entitled to a credential because you want to exercise your First Amendment to any of these big leagues now, TKO, NFL, any of them. If you say too much of what they don't like or do enough of what they don't like, they won't let you in. What I've resigned myself to is, credential or no credential, I'm going to speak my mind. And not really, I'm trying to just make sure at all costs that credential or no credential, it's not really going to affect what I think and affect what I say. So that isn't easy, but that's certainly the goal that I'll be sticking to. So yeah, Sandoval now still getting some momentum back, getting Rodriguez on the ropes. Rodriguez, though, sharp left hook. Yeah, Rodriguez is the sharper puncher, but Sandoval has controlled the real estate throughout a lot of this fight. Didn't really pay attention to the 8th round after a good rally by Rodriguez in 6 and 7. Thank you for the super chat. Says Cleve Vision says the Carl Kanai hoodie is fire. Thank you, sir. You only doing what you're doing because you're getting a YouTube check. No, I mean, I was doing this, not making money for several years. My first few years at Boxing Voice, I didn't make any money. Ness offered to us. I'm not saying because Ness did it. I wanted to pay my dues, and I did this for free in the field for years. Something you will never do. So shut your bitch ass up. And then I got to write. Look, It's selling out if I took Turkey's money. I didn't. I turned it down. It's selling out if I just walked everything back and sucked up to Dana and them. I'm not. This is America. I can go in my basement and talk whatever the fuck I want to talk, okay, about the fight. I am saying it right now about how the broadcast drifted into just being a total, not a total. It's been a good broadcast with good action throughout and some good young talent, but it also drifted into being just a lot of shilling for Zuffa boxing. If you were taking a shot for every time they try to sell you on this Zuffa boxing, you'd be maybe dead now by alcohol. So, nah, man, this is America, and you have the freedom of the press is supposed to be one of the bedrocks of this country. You can disagree with Wall Street and cover Wall Street. You could disagree with the White House and cover the White House. I could disagree with how TKO, subverted U.S. law and how Ari Emanuel has political connections that are vast in entertainment and in sports and in politics, and got in bed, and how Dana White is a hypocrite for talking about America this and that in Dodge truck commercials. And then there's a Riyadh season banner at a time where Saudi is being sued by the 9/11 family. But I've said this over and over and over again. And at the end of the time, I have a sport that I dedicated my life to covering well over a decade before any of these people ever entered the sport of boxing. So I was here before them. I'm still going to do what I got to do. So yeah. Let's see. Sean, who do you got on the Emmanuel Navarrete, Sugar Nunez? I gotta watch it. I gotta watch more tape on Nunez. I'm not gonna lie. And then Cleve Vision, thank you for the super chat, brother. Says much respect to Sean, the Luke Thomas route. I gotta watch him more. I gotta watch some more Nunez to keep it real. So yeah, let's keep it going. In the 10th round, I'm just kind of rocking with you guys. I think Rodriguez has landed a lot of the crisper, cleaner shots, but there was a number of rounds that the pressure was getting to him, and it looked like he might even succumb to it, but he ultimately never did. His face is worse for wear. So, yeah, man, I was covering Roy Jones downtown at the D, downtown at the D with Roy Jones, with Jim Ross from WWF back in the day commentating, not making any damn money, just doing it to pay the dues. I was covering Layla McCarter at the Orleans off TV at 16 years old when she was fighting, in 2007 with, what was my man's name? I can't remember, man. I covered so many small fights in Las Vegas that were never made it on television, just doing this to get into the game I love. So, yeah, it's round 10. And I do think Sandoval's pressure ebbed a little bit, his effectiveness with the pressure. Rodriguez in the second half of this fight rallied and started to land the better shot. Man, Sandoval, though, his durability is crazy. The man he's got a body where it's like it absorbs the punches like Majin Buu a little bit. Rodriguez, he thinks he's got this. Minute left, he lifts his hands up to the audience. But he is, he's been the guy, again, it's been harder for him to hold up under the punishment than it has Sandoval, but it's boxing at the end of the day, and he has landed better shots. So, you should look into adding members to your channel, bro. Is that what Sean's doing on Porterway? Is that what he's doing? What's good, C-Money? And thank you, Tay Day, as always, brother. It's Down Under, said Sean, I was at Zarafa and Zoo. I know a lot of people were mad about Zarafa. Yeah, they're mad at Zarafa quitting early, including Tim Zoo. Attacks, counters, advancing. Interesting the way they're putting that in. So they're calling, if you land punches on the lead and attack, and obviously if you counter punch, they're calling it a counter. And then they have an advancing percentage too. So by their measures, Sandoval won the fight. He advanced more. Nice two-piece at the bell by Julian Rodriguez. And enough respect earned by both men to hug at the end after a lot of shit talk. It was a war. It's been basically guys fighting in the pocket every fight. So, talk to him to Sizzle. Sean was a groundbreaking pioneer of YouTube boxing coverage. Yes, sir. It's facts. Sandoval didn't win this fight. No, it looked like Julian landed enough head-snapping, clean, effective punches. Even again, if his body was a little worse for wear, even if Sandoval kind of took his pound of flesh, but so. Sean, did you notice if Ryan Garcia voice changed since you seen him yesterday? I didn't notice that, but I noticed he's acting very heading into the Devin Haney fight like again. And, his body doesn't look like it did for the Rolly Romero fight. So, it is what it is. But, Barrios is a snack guy. So, who the fuck knows when it comes to that stuff? Nothing would surprise me. But, yeah, I did notice that. I've been noticing that Garcia is very pre-Devin Haney-like in his demeanor. And that worked well for him last time, even though he wasn't able to hold on to a win. It got overturned to a no contest. But that's going to be a good-ass fight, though. That I am convinced of. So, Sean Zittel, he looks absolutely jacked right now. He does. He actually looks more jacked than ever. Than he did even heading into the first Haney fight. So, but, again, I keep calling that fight, and some people, they pushed back on it. I think Julian Rodriguez looks like he's going to get this win. Let's see. Yep, I think it looks like it. Yeah, Julian Rodriguez gets the win, holds up under the fire with the war, and lands enough, fights off the ropes really well to win this fight, and gets the job done. Good fight, good action. Yeah, back to Garcia and Barrios. Normal boxing. I called that fight the Conquistador versus the Aztec against the Conquistador. And obviously I understood that would get some backlash because what the Conquistadors did to the natives of Mexico was terrible and turned the whole nation into mestizos and then eventually what we call Mexicans in Mexico. And it's like, I'm not saying Ryan Garcia is a murderous, raping conquistador of native people in North America. But what I was getting at is, look, one guy doesn't call himself the mestizo. He doesn't call himself the Mexican. He calls himself the Aztec. And Barrios feels diametrically opposed to Ryan Garcia. He don't like him. He don't really seem to like anything about him, right? And Garcia is a, Hollywood socialite, okay? And Barrios is a San Antonio into the Aztec Mayan roots he has and all of that. And again, I don't do this, what someone call it, Rebloodlicans and Democrips. But fucking Garcia, he's a Trump guy. He shadowboxed for him and voted for him and all that. And Trump, what is Trump doing? He's doing the ICE thing and deporting tons of Mexican immigrants and using all kind of rhetoric against them. So that's very conquistadorish. Not, hey, each to their own, But fuck it, if he wants to vote for Donald Trump, doesn't really make that much of a difference to me as if you wanted to vote for Kamala Harris or senile Joe Biden or George Bush, who may have had something to do with 9/11, or Ronald Reagan, who ran, crack through South Central, or Bill Clinton, who got his dick sucked and lied about it and committed perjury. Do you get what I'm saying? So, and Barack Obama set a record for deporting immigrants. So, Trump is just trying to beat his Steph Curry numbers. He's trying to break the records. So, that's why I can't do this Bloods and Crips thing in politics. But point being, to get back to the point, I'm not trying to cause some inter-ethnic war amongst the great Mexican people, of which my children share that descent. What I'm trying to do is highlight the kind of fun contrast that has been a part of a lot of Mexican fights, whether it's Chavez, the real Mexican versus Mexico, against De La Hoya, the Americanized pretty boy from LA, or De La Hoya, the Americanized pretty boy, the Americanized, in quotes, pretty boy from LA, the sellout is what they would call him back then, against you know, like the Cholo, the Street Oxnard, who also, like Mario Barrios, used to come out with the Aztec warrior stuff, and El Feroz, Fernando Vargas. There was that contrast. Morales Barrera. Morales was, you know, from poor Tijuana, grew up in a boxing gym. Marco Antonio Barrera from, you know, La Ciudad, from the city, the Chilango, from middle class upbringing, family. I think even worked in like Mexican Hollywood. And there was that contrast of Morales being like, oh, people like him from the city think they're better than people like me from Tijuana. So I'm just doing that again. I'm saying, you know, one guy already calls himself the Aztec. Again, he doesn't call himself the Mestizo. He doesn't call himself the Mexican. He calls himself the Aztec. And I'm saying, well, if he's the Aztec, then Garcia is the Conquistador. And I'm putting together the two halves of what Mexican culture was brought about by. It was brought about by Spanish conquistadors and native Aztec Mayans. So if one guy's saying I'm this, I'm like, hey, let's contrast it. Let's flesh it out. The other guy is that. But I don't mean it in a literal sense. And, you know, one guy intelligently didn't like it on Twitter and said, hey, man, that's like saying the African against the slave trader. If a fighter who was half white and half black fought a dude of, you know, full African descent or something, like, no, bro, I would never say that. But if there was a fighter from Africa who called himself the African, and this isn't an apples to apples thing because Barrios isn't from Mexico or whatever, but and he was fighting a black American fighter, yes, I would get into that contrast. This guy is from Nigeria. This guy is from Ghana. He has his own kind of background and swag, and the guy who's American, who's a black American, has his own background and swag, and I would have fun respectfully with that contrast. But I get it. Some people took it the wrong way. They hear conquistador and think I'm like calling Ryan a Spanish colonizer or something, but that's not really what I was trying to do. I'm just trying to do that classic contrast that they did in De La Hoya Vargas, De La Hoya Chavez, Morales Barrera. Maybe some people don't like it. I tried to get my Larry Merchant on and bring a little color and poetry to the pre-fight. Now I could picture Larry, you know, he's like, Jim, if Barrios is the Aztec, then he looks at Garcia as the Conquistador. And then that would get a big smile out of Jim, like, ooh, this motherfucker is cooking. And then Barrios has what Garcia doesn't have. He's been a champion. He's won at the championship level. Garcia has what Barrios doesn't have. A big following, an ability to be considered, despite not being a champion like him, a star. Jim, who will win tonight? The star or the champion? The Aztec or the Conquistador? Thank you, Larry. And incidentally enough, Barrios does not like Garcia, and you know, okay, I'm trying to get my HBO boxing on, and people just, you know, some people don't want to let me do that. They don't want to let me have a little fun with it. It's okay. Anyway, Adam Hurley says Julian Rodriguez doesn't get enough credit for how good a fighter he is. He's very solid, very good, solid fighter. I remember thinking he was going to beat Pedraza because Pedraza was been in a lot of fights and I thought was going downhill. And then Pedraza stopped Julian's ascent, you know. Julian, I don't think, was in a great place at that time. He wasn't happy with Top Rank, and he wound up getting beat. Yeah, and that was a good job by Pedraza. So, but I remember thinking Julian was going to win that fight. So, yeah. Now Miziel Rodriguez against Deanda. I don't know. These fights were feeling a little... Like, I was into it at first. I'm like, damn, this is sharp. Everybody's throwing sharp punches. Emiliano Cardenas and Robert Merriweather, Troy Nash. You know, these are all good young fighters. But then when I saw Cashflow go in there and almost exclusively stay in the pocket, and Cashflow's done that, though, before. I don't know. I was just... And even Dre and Max were commenting like, oh, this is like a new style for Cashflow. I was like, these fights are getting almost a little monotonous. Like, everybody's throwing sharp in the pocket, and I'm not seeing anybody take a walk. I'm not seeing anybody slow it down and use their... And I get it. A lot of people think that's boring. But I don't know, man. If you're a purist, that's something... I don't want to go... I don't want to make a fuss when there isn't one, okay? It's been good action throughout and good matchmaking throughout. Good even matchmaker. Whoever the matchmaker is in this card knows how to matchmake evenly matched fights. It has very much a showbox feel, and that is a compliment for sure. So, but just a thought that went through my mind was it's almost getting monotonous though. Everybody's fighting in the pocket. I know Rodriguez angled off a lot and moved a lot, but then they ultimately would just exchange in the pocket some more. And I don't know, there's like a similarity in the exchanges fight to fight a little bit, but it's good action for sure. And sharp. Guys are sharp. There's no sloppy punches being thrown, nothing like that. And yeah, and again, you know, everybody's coming out with the Zuffa stuff each time, but hey, there are worse things in the world. Edwin Rodriguez said Sean Zittel will make it in boxing and will be a part of boxing. Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. How's Ryan going to make 47 and rehydrate back with his weight? I mean, Ryan, for the first time, what's interesting is fighting a dude bigger than him, taller than him for sure, and Mario Barrios. And I knew it, man. Who in the chat watched some of the videos I did with Raheem where I said, Barrios, you are not going to get the Barrios you got heading into the Pacquiao fight where he was too respectful of Pacquiao. And you're not going to get the Barrios who had never seen bright lights before for his first fight with Gervonta Davis. You're getting the Barrios. You're going to get the best Mario Barrios because he don't fucking like Ryan Garcia. And to just keep it uncut and funky, Barrios thinks he's a bit of a bitch. That's why he brought up that he took a knee and he quit and all that. Now, me, I couldn't say that because I don't think any man that steps through the ring is a bitch. But relative to the heart they hold at the championship level, to keep it uncut and funky, again, Barrios looks at Ryan like he's got some bitch in him. And he thinks that's something he can exploit. He thinks he's not as disciplined as him. And he let out a little piece of it when he said that I take away the left hook with my distance and my timing. And Ryan even said he's a good counter puncher. This is going to be the first time Ryan's not like the taller, bigger man in a fight. And that's very interesting. I think the books, the odds makers have that fight perfectly called. Garcia is a slight favorite based on talent alone. Based on his combination of very formidable speed and power. Those are the two big boxes that always jump out the most. Your punching power and your hand speed. And advantage Ryan in both categories. But Barrios is the solid all-arounder. And Ryan has acknowledged that. And Barrios can counter. And Ryan has acknowledged that. And Barrios, again, I knew he'd be up for this fight. He feels diametrically opposed to Ryan. Doesn't like him. Probably doesn't like what he stands for. I don't like what he stands for. You know, that's my Mario Barrios, okay? So that's what I think. And I think that resentment is going to show. And I actually think it's going to be a good-ass fight. And I think it's going to be a good-ass fight. I think both guys are going to get hurt. And Ryan's going to have to walk through some fire, man. He's going to have to, maybe on some Luke Campbell shit, maybe get dropped. And if Barrios's feeling about him that he can fold is right, then maybe Barrios wins. But I think Ryan will be respectful and weary of the power of Barrios, but not fear it like he did Rolly Romero. And he may get dropped. He's going to get shook a couple times, going to eat some good shots. But if it becomes ultimately a war of attrition and both guys are able to land their best work on each other, then I think Garcia at some point puts together the kind of power and speed that gives him the edge. And I think that fight is going to end in a stoppage or be a war over 12 rounds. I think it's going to be a good-ass fight, man. I think it's going to be one of those, Mexican wars, albeit a Chicano one. And there's been plenty of those, too. I think that's going to be a good fight, man. Ryan got to do more than spam the hook. He's got to do what he did in the Haney fight, and that's throwing combination to get the hook off. He landed with a single hook in the first 30 seconds of that fight, but the way he got, I think, the second and third knockdowns, I've watched it a million times, but still can't remember off top. I know at least 2 out of those 3 knockdowns, he spammed his hand speed. It wasn't the most beautifully placed combination punching. he just is so fast and can has power that he just threw a 5-6 punch combination and the hook found a home because he wasn't just doing that one lead hook that he'll spam sometimes. To your point, to Sizzle. So yeah, I think that's what he's got to do. I think he's gonna have to, like in the Haney fight, pick his spots to throw in combination and force Barrios to be a little bit overwhelmed in the high guard, and then one of those left hooks will find a home like that. Because I think throwing single left hooks, I think Barrios, may just win the fight that way if that's all Garcia is doing. So, yeah. Is Ryan doing any road work cardio? No idea. Boxing 9740 says, I don't like how Devin's disrespecting Rolly when Rolly actually was respecting Devin. I got mad love for Rolly, always been my dude. But, I mean, Rolly, in interviews with me, disrespected the shit out of Devin. He called him his biological, he's his biological father, and has talked mad shit about Devin. Now, Rolly has gotten closer with Jesus and has read the Bible extensively, and that's great for Rolly. It's a beautiful thing. But they're both welterweight champions, and he talked trash about Devin for years, and now they're both champions. They don't have a fight lined up. Devin and Bill want the smoke, and he doesn't, by his own admission. And that that's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. You guys should see each other in that ring after sparring, after verbally going back and forth. Devin calling him a bum. Rolly saying, haha, you wound up fighting on my undercard. Rolly beating Ryan after Ryan didn't beat Devin, but gave him a thrashing for 12 rounds, and then rightfully settled for a no contest and all that. But yeah, and Rolly saying a million bad things about Devin, and Devin saying a million, but y'all should fight. And even if all those things weren't true, you're both two of the 4 belt holders in the same division now. So I think it's more on Rolly right now in terms of who's not doing right by everything. He should take the fight. Might knock him out. I think Devin would be the favorite, but trying to back away from picking fights a little bit for a time, because then it just turns into you got the fight wrong, or the blah blah. And I just want to analyze the fights and not make it about me and trolls and my ego. So basically, Ryan needs the drugs again. He needs to summon that form he had for the Devin Haney fight. Yes. But again, man, they might all be on drugs, if I'm being honest. So, Drake Bell. Thank you, sir. Germ to go. All right. Rodriguez and Deanda. Michelle Rodriguez. Yeah, it's hard for me. It's hard. It's hard, chat. I'm almost Nah, we need you picking fights, bro. I will. I'll stop being a bitch soon. I'll pick some fight. I would favor Devin. I would favor Devin to win that fight. Okay, Tay Day for sure. I would favor Devin to win the fight. But I don't know. I'm having fun not having to worry about my ego being on the line during the fight, and just, I mean, me, Tay Day. I could pick it dead wrong and call it just like it is during the fight, right after the fight, call it down the middle. But man, it's made it not as fun lately to have to make it all about if I'm picking it right or wrong, and then getting some more fights wrong last year than I ever did. It hasn't been fun dealing with the trolls about that. It's like, can we just move past whatever, picking it right or wrong, and analyze this shit and talk about it truthfully? So, but I hear you, Tay Day. Am I going to watch Adam 22 fight? I didn't know he was fighting. Oh, I think I may have seen that post. Zuffa cut, man. Zuffa trunks. Bland presentation. Yeah, I can see that. Don't you think Ryan is still having a huge hole in his defense? I haven't seen any improvement. He has holes in his game, period. But he overcomes it with his gifts of speed and punching power and the left hook. And the question is Barrios at this level solid enough all around technically with to expose that, or is he too ordinary to expose that? And Garcia's superior talent will at some point overwhelm him? You know, that's the question. I could see it going either way. I really can. The books have it right. Garcia as a slight favorite, not a heavy favorite. My wife is in the chat. Sammy, this feels weird. I'm literally tempted to stop the stream and say this is just weird for me. I'm gonna keep watching the fights and then come back with an assessment of it all. So I don't know, babe. I'm tripping. This has been like the oddest live I've ever had to do on a round by round. Chat, what should we do? Should we call it a night early and I'll just watch the rest of the card and kind of give my thoughts with Raheem on Sunday, or should we keep this thing going? What's the point of Zuffa if there's already Pro Box? Well, the point is they're just starting with these fights, but inevitably will plan by having that pipeline through USA Boxing and the other promoters falling apart as we speak, as we watch it unfold, to take over the whole game. They didn't get in. They came into this to play for keeps, not to have Migiel Rodriguez and Deanda fight forever, and Julian Rodriguez, respectfully, and Kane Sandoval fight forever. This is just them waiting it out, playing the long game. So ProBox doesn't have $40 billion and an $8 billion Paramount deal. ProBox is doing what I'm doing. They're on YouTube. Shout out to ProBox. So Tay said, wouldn't be mad at that, bro. Save some energy for tomorrow. Caleb said, keep it going. Real says, keep it going. Doggy Days Boxing says, have the fights been good? They have been good. They have been good. Pretty consistently. Each fight after the other. There's just something odd about me commentating on it. I'd almost just rather take tonight to watch it. But I told myself this week, we're gonna do a live. You know, we're gonna do what we do independent. We're not gonna get a credential for this fight and be down at the Apex. We're not gonna kiss nobody's ass at the Apex. We're just gonna stay here and call it like we see it, give credit where it's due, and call out whatever should be called out. But it's just been odd for your boy. Maybe I should have taken this night to observe. So yeah, Rodriguez in control of this fight early against Deanda. But let's see. Uppercut the like button. I pretty appreciate that. Let me ask the chat. Genuinely asking here. Are we feeling the inaugural? The fights of. All right, so I'm being cool. I'm being nice. So the fights have been good throughout. So, don't know how many boxers Dana has at the moment? I think at over 100. So, yeah. So yeah. Sean, do you think the UFC is full of Trump supporters or real MMA fans? I don't know. I think the UFC filled a hole that was left in watching fighting. That boxing, as it was behind premium cable paywalls, and as ESPN didn't have a cut of the big action like they do the NFL, like they do the NBA, MLB, NHL, college sports. I think ESPN said, well, fuck you then, boxing. Like, we're not really going to cover you and give you that exposure on our platform that we give the big four sports and others, because we have Sunday Night Football, we have Wednesday Night Basketball, we have the NHL on ESPN, we have the MLB on ESPN. We have our cut. You put all this boxing stuff on pay-per-view, you put it on HBO, you put it on Showtime, so we're not fucking with you anymore. And, I think the UFC, especially with this country, and again, I'm not making some left-wing point here, I'm just saying what it is. I think with this country being, at the time of UFC taking off in the early 21st century into the 2010s, having European Americans, or white people as we call it, the majority of the country, and having a lot of white fighters like Chuck Liddell, namely, and a few others, I think in between the marketing machine that Dana and the Fertitas successfully put together, they convinced a lot of people who weren't watching fights to watch their fights, and they were smart to do that, and it worked, and that happened. So I think like they did really good marketing, and Dana did a great job saying like this is the ultimate fighting championship. This is the evolution of fighting. Boxing is a becoming an archaic form of fighting. All they do is strike and use their hands. In UFC, we have mixed martial arts. They can use every martial art ever taught under the sun and compile it into this ultimate style of fighting. And he got on regular cable TV from Spike TV, and he killed it with his Ultimate Fighter. I had friends that used to watch that. I caught a couple episodes even. But I loved boxing at such a young age that when Dana became that guy that called out boxing and shitted all over boxing, it was fuck him for life. And that was me at like 12 years old, 13 years old. And so it is ironic that 20 years later, he's the man who maybe set underneath Ari and the people that really own TKO to be the most powerful man in boxing. It's like a movie playing out before your very eyes in real life. So to answer your question, no, I think MMA is comprised of young fans that were cultivated and fell in love with mixed martial arts and have a passion for mixed martial arts. They love that sport like I love this sport. But I also think it's had a sea of fans that just fell for marketing the way you fall for marketing with Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion or mainstream pop or mainstream movies. It's not really something they seeked out. It helped find them and met them halfway and put the product in their hands and in the mainstream consciousness. So I think MMA is a mixture of young fans that fell in love and grew up, and people who just are kind of what we call normies. They watch whatever's the popular movie, they know whatever was the popular song, and mixed martial arts, UFC, became the popular form of fighting. And that would be my take on it. So yeah, Khalil or Jesse Hart? I mean, Khalil better with like 7 pounds blowing weight and everything. So hold on, let me return this text to my guy. Sorry, chat. So let me see. What up? Everything good. Sorry, but yeah, hype beast, right, Tay? I think I know what that term means. Real UFC fans were around before Dana White. Gary Goodrich, Chemo, Royce Gracie. Yeah, who else? Ken Shamrock, and I know these dudes because of WWF back in the day. Who was the other guy that WWF signed? Help me out here, Chad. The other guy, the other UFC guy that they signed with Ken Shamrock. So I don't know. What was his fucking name? I can't remember now. He was in the Attitude Era. So I also think that too. I think they took. I think a lot of wrestling fans grew up and became boxing fans back in the days, and now they grew up and became UFC fans instead, and now they're merged. What do you know? So Tito Ortiz, no, not Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz was the only fight I ever ordered back in the day, and we ordered it, and we're like, wow, this is really fucking boring. This is really boring. He just tied up with a guy a lot. Yeah, I remember that. Because Tito Ortiz, I was so into boxing that I'm like, he's a Mexican fighter, and I had a bunch of Mexican friends, and my boy Edgar Haciel from Ensenada, he was like, Tito Ortiz, he didn't, and then we ordered it, and he was like, oh, I didn't think you'd actually order it, and then we ordered it, and it was really boring, and he wrestled on the ground a lot. It wasn't for me. Dan Severn! There we go. It was Dan Severn. Who do you think will be better for boxing in your opinion? Sean, Jake Paul with MVP, or Dana White for Zuffa? I think they were almost in cahoots together, bro, because they were both there at the White House on inauguration night, in the same room. And Jake has said, yeah, the Ali Act, he, shouldn't be changed and blah. Yeah, real protest there, buddy. And then, and then Nikisa was like, I think it'd be good. And I remember being like, what is the catch with him rounding up all the female talent? Like, I know we're sold the bill of goods that he's just a great guy. He just wants to help women's boxing. And my conspiracy theory that crossed through my mind was maybe he's just amassing all the female talent so that it can be transferred over to UFC. And this whole public beef they have is like some WWE shit. And weren't they just in the same room again at the national title game? So it's like, if the UBOs are about to take over, okay, at the very least, the conspiracy theory is he knew the UBOs, him and Nikisa knew the UBOs were on the way, and now they literally already have a league ready to go under the UBO model of their own with women's boxing. The deeper tinfoil hat conspiracy theory is he actually was amassing all the talent to eventually merge with TKO and Dana. So there you go. Wouldn't hold my breath. That's actually what's happened, but just the thought I had. It's funny. Dana was calling Anderson Silva the GOAT of UFC. Then Jake Paul beat him, and now it's John Jones. I mean, I did see a John Jones fight on Fox once in like 2010. And I was like, damn. I remember he was so good. I keep it real. He was so good. I was like, ooh, boxing might be in trouble because that guy looks like he'll fuck anybody up at anything. John Jones was the first guy I watched that didn't look like Chuck Liddell. Like, that didn't, and these guys that were slow and didn't have good chins. You guys remember that, right? In the 2000s, barely heading into the 2010s. None of these guys had hand speed, and none of them had punch resistance. And then in the 2010s, the evolution happened, and I started seeing guys be nice and have hand speed and take shots and exchange. And that's when I was like, ugh, boxing, that's a problem. That's a problem because now the argument we had as boxing fans was like, they can't punch, like they can't fight with their stand-up. They're striking. They're not that good at that. They're a jack of all trades, master of none. And then, even Conor McGregor, bro, he was rangy, a rangy southpaw, like Conor McGregor could fight standing up. Now, would he be some world champion in boxing? No, but the point being, they got better. Their sport evolved. And that's why a lot of the slow white guys weren't dominating anymore, So, John Jones, though, to be fair to Dana, from my extremely limited knowledge of MMA, is a bad motherfucker. I'll give him that. So, John Jones as a prospect was scary and creative, and as a champ was dominant. I take nothing away from the man, I know he's done. Oh, and now Thomas Taylor stops the fight, and we will call the Callum Walsh Carlos Ocampo fight. I think I can pull through that one, chat. And I am so grateful for you guys to allow me to just digress and talk, and not really call the action tonight. So you guys are awesome, all 117 of you. And I feel bad to my man Christian Salvador, who gave me $60. I hope you feel like you got some money well spent. Thank you, Christian, again. We have 62% of no, but I don't want to feel like you guys are pandering to your boy. Come on, you could let me know the truth, that you guys think the shit is dope. It's okay. It's all right. Conor Mack needed Floyd to be a crossover star. Nah, he was one without Floyd. That's why that fight did what it did. It was two crossover stars. Conor McGregor was big business. That Habib Nurmagomedov fight was like a Armageddon war. I was checking for that. I was in Chicago with Fight Hype watching, I think, Jesse Vargas and Thomas Delorme with Tomas Adamek on the undercard. That was the night Beterbiev got dropped by Callum Johnson. And I was even like, what the fuck is going on in that Conor McGregor Khabib fight? I was even bought into the drama of that fight with Conor throwing shit through a bus window and fresh off the Mayweather fight. No, I was on that. Not gonna lie, I wouldn't have ordered it, but I was paying attention to who won. Even Ronda, but again, in part because of boxing, in part because the ring saying Ronda Rousey would beat up Floyd Mayweather and all that, and I was like, all right, well, now I want to know if she lost to Holly Holm or not. You know, like I paid attention to that. I'm not gonna lie. So, what is up, Gun P Takeda? It's a long time no see, my friend. Love to see you killing it to this day. Thank you, my brother. Polymath said very compelling stuff. It was compelling. I'm not gonna lie. Sean, do you know Luke Thomas has been calling out UFC for turning right wing? I do know that, and I got mad love for Luke. He's been a great guy to me, and even allowed me to come on the show with him. But me personally, I try. I have a really corny phrase that my wife likes. I say you need two wings to fly, right? With just one wing, you wouldn't be able to fly. So when it comes to this right wing, left wing, Democrats and Republicans thing, I try to not get too pigeonholed into either train of thought, and inevitably you'll probably lean one way or the other. But I'm like a liberal Republican. I'm like a guy who does believe in the Constitution and that government should stick to that. And just because the Democrat means democracy, which means, hey, if we all vote for this unconstitutional thing, then it's democracy. We could do that. 52% of us vote for that, then it's okay. I'm more like, nah, the rules should stay the rules, and we should kind of play by the playbook of the Constitution and all that. But at the same time, I'm liberal. I believe people should, as long as they're not hurting nobody, think and do what they want to do. It's a free country, so you need two wings to fly. You need two wings to fly. So I wouldn't just be right wing or left wing. You know what I'm saying? So corny, lame, maybe impractical, but there it is. We're supposed to be Americans, man. First and foremost, we're supposed to be we the people, not they the government. It's another Seanism. Are you going to be live in the crowd for Inoue Nakatani? I would love to be, but it's going to be the same night as Benavidez Zurdo, and Benavidez Zurdo is like 15 minutes that way. Whereas Japan, I don't even have a passport. So I will be up that morning and call the fight. Absolutely be doing that. And if it was any other week during that time period, I would fly out there, I think, with my man True School Sports and hold it down. That's if they even let me in there, because I don't think Inoue's people loved that whole PED thing I said, which I never said he did PEDs. I just said the moving the testing back was suspicious, and that Canelo popped for clenbuterol, and Roy Jones did it for Richard Hall, and Evander Holyfield had an alias called Evan Fields, and Manny Pacquiao was suspicious for years, and Floyd Mayweather drained his IVs, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Snack, and Memo Heredia, and et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, if Inoue was pushing his testing back and was doing something, it wouldn't surprise me. And I don't think they like that very much. But I've had the privilege of talking to Inoue a few times since that. So, God, thank you, God. But, yeah, I wish I would go to Japan to see that fight. Would love to. Who do I got winning tomorrow? It really is a 50-50, man. I will say the fight week vibes a little bit to Murataya. Just got that look, man. And Garcia, his trainer, Robert, has been at the highest level. He's a great trainer. We'll see how Bozy stacks up in corner versus corner. But I respect Cruz being the favorite. He's going to get off to a good start. He's a little quicker. But the hand speed difference isn't that different. I remember coming up, people would talk about in boxing the difference between quickness and speed and fast. Fast and quick were like two different things. And I think like Caleb Plant, Benavidez, like Caleb Plant's the quicker guy. He's quicker on the draw. He can get off first. But Benavidez, once he gets rolling, is maybe even faster than he is. And so, yeah, I think Cruz is quicker, but Murataya is very fast. And I don't know, man. I just want to call that, analyze that fight right after on the channel, do my walk and talk, and may the best man win. I really think it's like a 50-50. I think Cruz will get off to a good start. Wouldn't be surprised if Murataya in the second half of the fight, like he's predicting, catches him, hurts him, and stops him. If he can't catch him and hurt him, it's an old kind of cop-out, wishy-washy thing, but I really think if it goes 12, it's going to be Andy. And if it's a stoppage, if someone gets stopped, it's going to be Murataya stopping Andy and later on in the fight. You know, as he gets his timing down and starts to punch with Cruz and make an adjustment to him. But I feel very confident that Cruz will get off to a good start in the fight. He will be up early. So, yeah. Do I think Ocampo gets blasted in one round again? Nah, I don't. I don't think Walsh is packing that kind of heat. Pause. I think no. I think it should be a competitive fight. So, are you guys home? I think my wife's home. They could come say hi. Zuffa needs to get rid of uniforms. Yeah. Robert Garcia has a training factory. I can't believe. Yeah, an academy. Yeah. Khalil or Jesse? Khalil. I mean, especially with a 7-pound weight advantage. 5 billion with Top Rank and Bob Arum would have done wonders. What do you think, Sean? I don't know. They underdelivered the last few years of their deal with ESPN. I mean, they did have like $90 million a year to spend, I believe. So they had almost $100 million a year. After Haney Lomachenko in May of 2023, they really didn't do shit with it. And even some people in Top Rank would be honest with you off the record and tell you that. But no, they had strong moments. You know, Shakur Valdez, Tio versus Lomachenko. Haney versus Lomachenko, Lomachenko, and yeah, they had some strong fights for sure, and some great nights. But I also think they didn't optimize with that deal, and getting in bed with Kinahan wasn't smart. Now doing the joint pay-per-view with Fox for Fury Wilder, I think was the high point of the Top Rank deal. Fury had some entertaining fights where he almost got stopped on a cut against Otto Wallin. But, you know, I think if they were being honest with themselves, they could have done better. I don't think putting Shakur De Los Santos in an empty T-Mobile was smart. But, you know, they said they had to do that because of F1. And, you know, they have reasons. But I think overall they get like a C-, you know, in their 7-year deal overall, a C-, maybe a D+ in that area. I mean, Valdez Burchelt was awesome in the bubble. They definitely had some moments I really enjoyed. But yeah. So, yeah. Took my 8-year-old daughter to the boxing gym for the first time last weekend. Took a lot of convincing of her mother, but she came. No, that's good for her though. I mean, you know, hopefully mom understands it's not necessarily about building her into the next Clarissa Shields or Katie Taylor. It's just let her know how to defend herself. And boxing is just so healthy for you, for the mind, for the body, and the spirit. You know that I'm all for it. I want my son to get to the boxing gym. I've been holding my hands up with him. You know, making him hit my hands since he was a baby. So he actually has a good right hand, but he's more of a lover. But he's got a little bit of talent, my son. He could throw a mean brick, but now he thinks his daddy being on his ass sometimes. Do my kids like boxing? Yeah, well, my son picks fights really well. My son likes Oscar and Pacquiao and Floyd and Inoue. And he picked Canelo Crawford correctly. He picked Haney Norman correctly. He's got Murataya tomorrow. When I asked my son who do you think's gonna win, and I showed him the face off from the presser, he was like, Murataya, he's the bigger man. You know, I like that. My son talked like a boxing head. He was like, the guy on the left, Murataya, he's the bigger man, he said. I was like, oh, listen to you using like that real boxing lingo. So I wouldn't mind seeing my son come downstairs right now. Say what's up to everybody. Let me see if wifey wants to send him downstairs. I got Ocampo with the upset, says Raphael32. We will see. What's up, Bostons? Honestly, in the past, boxing fans would have ignored Zuffa. Yeah, but it's got such a strong push, and it's got people we respect. like Max and Dre and Joe and on the broadcast, you know, selling it. So, and it's got the most significant network deal in the sport right now. So, yeah. So here we are. But it's been damn. They're upstairs and still didn't answer. What if Murataya actually cracks Andy? Then I think he could stop him. I think he could hurt him and drop him. Um, but I also think Cruz, if he gets comfortable in there and gets ahead, maybe even early, Cruz can surprise Murataya. Murataya has been down in fights before, like against Galindo. But I do think the power of Murataya could be a problem for Cruz later in the fight. As Adam Abramovitz would say, your son's a body language head. He is. Hey, I like the Adam Abramovitz reference. Adam is sharp, very sharp. Definitely respect Adam. Sat next to him for a couple fights. That's my brother. He's a good guy. Sharp. Adam is a sharp one, and one of the guys. It actually felt good to know he had respect for the work I do over the years. So shout out to Adam. All right, Carlos Ocampo in the ring now. As Dana said, his only losses were in world title fights. Which world titles? The ones that are full of shit and irrelevant, right, Dana? But hey, no, that's okay. We all have our cake and eat it too sometimes. Had a good fight with Fandora, where he went the distance. Got knocked out in a round by Tim Tszyu and by Errol Spence. But not a bad fighter from Ensenada, Carlos Ocampo. So Callum Walsh is the rangier, longer fighter with good feet, longer arms, southpaw. So he's the favorite. But, you know, Walsh hasn't shown us anything special as an undefeated fighter. So maybe Ocampo, you know, pulls off an upset here. I see that man Fernando Beltran in the corner. Beltran's been a good promoter for a long time. Sammy, go ahead and let Leo's missing, Sammy. We need Leonardo in this. So here comes Callum Walsh to the ring now. And this is really the day one for Zuffa. This is really, you know, oh, he's from Cork? All right. Little history fact. My grandmother, Rita McCall, is from Cork, Ireland. So, you know, my name's Sean with the Irish spelling. My mother was Italian. My father was Irish German. His mom, my grandma, Rita McCall, is from Cork, Ireland. Okay, so shout out to Callum Walsh. We got some roots in Cork, Ireland. So I am now biased. Callum Walsh by knockout. Easy work. Best prospect in the game. Zuffa Boxing takes over with the face of boxing, Callum Walsh, because he's from Cork, Ireland. All right, here he gets into the ring now. Cork, Ireland. His own Callum Walsh. Yeah, headlining his 12th show. You know, them Irish cats can sell in New York, man. Mick Conlon sold out the Garden Theater because a lot of, you know, I'm from New York and I'm part Irish, and John Duddy, Mick Conlon sold out down there in New York, and so Callum Walsh has been a draw down in New York a few times. So yeah, he's headlining his 12th show. He's been Dana White's pet project, and let's see how he does. He is the kind of rightful headliner of their first ever show. Let's see how he looks. He didn't blow anybody away, but he won handily against Fernando Vargas Jr., who is got some explosive punching power. He's not really considered a contender for sure, but he was undefeated and did possess some physical talent from his pops. So yeah, Callum Walsh did win that fight handily. Credit to him for that. So 15-0. Let's see how he stacks up with the Tim Tszyu and the Errol Spences of the world. And again, you got to give props to Ocampo for going 12 with Fandura. That's nothing to sneeze at. We're up to 61% now of people who like the show. So good. Sean Z, you going to the fight or streaming the event? I'm going to the fight tomorrow. I'll be at Murataya Cruz. So let's get with it. I think that boxing fans should blame Zuffa, but I think boxing needs self-reflection and reform. Well, it might be too late for that. You know, this may be the kickoff of the real new era. We shall see. Shall see. Or not. But they're playing with a lot of resources and money. Joe Martinez. Shout out to Joe Martinez. Nice guy. Brings the hype. All right, Ocampo ready to go against Callum Walsh. Ocampo, a big underdog. But on paper, the best fighter that Callum Walsh has fought. Fernando Vargas Jr. might be a little bit more explosive athlete than Ocampo, but not the professional pedigree of Ocampo. And again, it's crazy that dude was only 22 when he fought Errol Spence and was like 27-0. I remember that. And then he got folded by a body shot. I was in Kevin Barry, you know, Joe Parker's old trainer, the dude who won the silver medal against Holyfield, controversially. I was in his backyard kicking it with Joe Parker and my wife when we were all having this great barbecue party. Kevin Barry was getting down on the steaks on the grill, and then Spence iced him with a body shot in 1 round. So I don't think Dana has the eye to identify talent and create boxing superstars. I don't know about creating superstars because he's been struggling with that a little bit in MMA lately, but they got the right eye for talent somewhere because they went straight to USA Boxing to try to get that pipeline going, and that's pretty smart. So, and whoever the matchmaker is, his match made very competitive fights throughout. They got a good matchmaker judging by this first card. So here we go. Round 1 set to start between Callum Walsh and Carlos Ocampo, and we shall see what's going on. All right, Walsh starts off, flicking his jab. Oh, right hook, straight left hand. Nice sharp 2-punch combination to start for Callum Walsh in round 1. Sweeping left hand to the body and a right hook up top as well. And right away looking to exchange with Carlos Ocampo, getting the better of it early on. Staying in the center of the ring with Ocampo. Ocampo trying to inch forward a little bit, keep his composure against the superior hand speed and length of Callum Walsh. And both fighters opening up a little bit wide, but bringing the action to start in the first minute. Some vicious exchanges right from the opening bell. A little bit of feinting from Walsh, dropping the lead hand. Bounces over to his right. Now he steps to his left. Straight left hand by by Callum Walsh, but Ocampo trying to exchange with him right away. What's up, son?
What's up?
You want to grab a seat and watch the fights with me? Yeah. All right, let's do it. All right, cool. Who's going to win? This guy or that guy?
The
one with the black on or the one with the white on?
black.
Okay, so my son has Callum Walsh winning this fight. All right, so it's probably in the bag for Callum Walsh. Callum Walsh off to a good start, though, man. Outlanding Carlos Ocampo, using that length, punching, changing levels with his body shots, and then finishing up top with his right hook. Again, landed a nasty straight left hand earlier in this round. Halfway through the first round, some vicious exchanges from the opening bell in the center of the ring. Now the pace slows down a little bit. Walsh measuring, feints with his lead hand, bounces up and down, sweeps a left hand to the body again, and then he holds Ocampo's head down when Ocampo tries to return fire. So Ocampo staying composed, though. Staying composed, trying to punch inside of those long arms. Oh, sweeping left hand over the top for Callum Walsh off the bounce. Ocampo just trying to steady himself into this fight, being composed in round 1, taking some big shots over the top by Callum Walsh. Walsh not throwing his punches short. You know, there's some fat on his shots. But Walsh stepping over to his left, bouncing up and down again, lead hand low, both hands low. Now he picks him up a little bit, both hands down at his chest. Sweeps the left hand over the top. Ocampo just being slow and steady in round 1. Eats a straight left hand, but comes back to the body with 2 body shots after eating that straight left hand. Good timing by Ocampo there. And I guess that's what Ocampo is trying to do. You know, get the timing down of Walsh and punch with him, counterpunch him a little bit while not giving up his ground. And 10 seconds left. This is going to be a Callum Walsh round. But Ocampo landing a little bit of a left hook in that last exchange. 5 seconds left. And that will do it. First round to Callum Walsh, but I could see that Ocampo is trying to get his timing down. So what's up, big dog?
What's up?
What's up? We're going to play Final Fantasy tonight?
Yep.
Can we show them the brick real quick? Just real quick. Can we show them the right hand?
I don't really want to.
What about just one for Daddy? For the people watching. Are you shy?
I don't want to.
Okay, all right. He doesn't have to. Champ doesn't feel like training right now. So that's okay.
This way, this goes a different.
I know it goes the opposite way, right?
Yeah.
All right.
So when I want to twist my head this way, I have to do this way.
Yeah, it goes the other way. This is the best. This is all right. What do you gotta say tonight? I'll let you watch the fight and then tell the people what you think. If you feel like you can do your own thing, man. This is your office too, so whatever you want to do. All right.
My grandma bought me this toy.
She bought.
She bought me.
She bought you that toy. All right.
She bought it too.
No, bought it.
She bought it.
There you go.
But she paid for it for me.
Oh no, I totally understand what you're saying.
It's a new toy.
Is it?
Yeah.
You got a new
guess
toy? What?
I got that new toy and
Yep.
the tornado.
Did you get A's today?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
The pet tornado. Which
No. What'd you get on your grades?
Oh, usually lots of 100s.
Okay, good work.
They're like
All right, Big L.
3 100s or something.
All right, so yeah, Ocampo's going again with that sweeping left hand to the body. Everything is awesome. Yes, we like that movie. Let's see how it picks up now in round 2. Walsh won that first round, and again, I see Ocampo trying to get his timing down and invest to the body a little bit. Take advantage of Walsh, who gets a little bit wide on his shots over the top and to the body. And now Ocampo's smiling at him a little bit, fencing with his jab. Now Walsh picking his hands up a little bit, bounces in and bounces around a little bit, stays his ground. Nice lead right hook to the body by Walsh, using that ranginess in that southpaw stance. He could get off first. A little bit faster and, of course, rangier than Ocampo, coming up from welterweight. Nice two-piece by Walsh over the top and a sweeping left hand to the body by Walsh. Walsh winning these exchanges. Ocampo not able to catch him in between so far. Walsh winning the exchanges when they punch together. Walsh changing up his looks more than Ocampo too. Ocampo keeping his right hand home, dropping his left hand a little bit, at times trying to paw with the lead hand, but Walsh is picking the gloves up, picking both gloves down at the chest, lead hand down, straight left hand and a right hook by Callum Walsh and a sweeping left hand to the body. And Ocampo can't gauge the timing and the distance right now. It's Walsh initiating and punctuating a lot of these exchanges right now. So, yep, Walsh in control early on. But it's like both guys are just waiting to exchange. A lot of skirmishes going on. But Walsh is landing that left hand to the body a lot when they open up an exchange. And his ranginess is making Ocampo fall short. His length is making him fall short with his punches in the exchange. Nice lead right hook, straight left hand. Big right hook by Ocampo to punctuate that exchange. Or excuse me, by Walsh to punctuate that exchange. It's a Walsh round. He's about to go up 2-0 right here, no doubt about it. Ocampo is struggling again with the range of Walsh and is waiting on him. He can't get off first. And Walsh will get off first and punctuate the exchange, whether it's with a sweeping left hand to the body or a right hook up top. And that's going to do it for round 2. 2-0 Callum Walsh. So, yep, super nice seeing you ask your kid about their grade. Yeah, man, he's been killing it. That boy's been killing it at school, bringing home 100s. I tell him, you handle your business, and Daddy will get you basically what you want. If you handle your business, if you're a good boy, listen to your mom, bring home 100s. I understand sometimes you don't always want to teach their brain that you do something to get something, but love my son. I don't even know what weight class this is. Middleweight. This is middleweight.
I'm middleweight.
You're a middleweight?
No, I just have to say I like middleweight.
You like middleweights?
Yeah.
Walsh is solid. Yeah, he looks solid right here. Little wide and a little wild on his punches, but he's rangy. Got some good, decent hand speed, and he works his levels with his punches, and he's got a good sense of distance. He makes you fall short a lot. Because he's got some pep in his step, some bounce in his feet, and he's a tall fighter. So Walsh, nice straight left hand, took a good angle right out of the third round, stepped over to his right, got his lead foot to the outside of Ocampo's lead foot with that southpaw stamp and bopped him with a nice straight left hand. Kind of does what Conor McGregor does. He's a southpaw, rangy, uses the most of his length. Yep, straight left hand again. Kind of Conor McGregor-esque right there. So he's doing a good job stepping over to his right and then bopping you with the straight left hand. So, nah, I don't think Leo's is no professional boxer, but I do want him to have some hands just in case, protect himself. But yep, minute into the third, and Walsh is in control of this fight. Straight left hand again. Bouncing in and out, dropping both hands. Yeah, this just reminds me of Conor McGregor a little bit, what he would do with his style and his straight left hand. Keep it long, keep it athletic, and then bop the guy with the straight left hand, make him fall short with his punches. Yeah, Ocampo can't cut the distance. Getting checked by a right hook, trying to cut the distance. He doesn't have the athleticism early to keep up with Walsh, and he's not making enough. He's not able to get off and make investments to the body or anything like that could eventually slow Walsh. It's Walsh getting to the body well. He just punctuated with a right hook to the body just now. He's dipped underneath the shot of Ocampo well and cleaned up with a right hook to the body. Minute 20 left in the round. And Walsh is on his way to win this round too. Drops both hands, feints, bounces up and down. Straight left hand. Ocampo trying to time him coming in with the straight left hand, but he can't. Walsh is awkward and long, so he can't quite do that. And again, a decent athlete. Yeah, Ocampo's trying to hold his ground and counterpunch and time Walsh, but he can't do it successfully right now. Little too slow. 45 seconds left. Walsh just keeps sweeping that left hand to the body and finishing up with a right hook up top. Yeah, keeping it in the center of the ring, and Ocampo is forced to wait on him. Walsh has his respect with the power to where he's not willing to just walk through the fire and cut the distance that way, take one to land one. He's waiting on Walsh, who makes mistakes, who fights with his hands low, who jumps in with punches, but he's just not athletic enough to make him pay for that. These straight left hands are landing very nice for Callum Walsh in the round.
Who can't do it?
Huh?
Who are you talking about?
Carlos Ocampo, son.
Who's Carlos Ocampo? Is it the guy in the white?
Yes, it is. So you were picking the fight right, okay?
Okay.
Well done.
So did you won?
Not yet. There's still 6 more rounds. They're only in the 4th round.
Why do you think I picked it right?
Because it looks like he's on his way to winning. He's won 3 rounds to nothing. And the other fighter is too slow, and he needs to get. He can't time him. Do you know what time him means? Yeah. It means you wait for the other guy to punch, and you punch at the same time he's punching, and that's when you catch him in between punches.
What about when he's done with his combination, then throw a punch quick before he...
You know what they call that? In the transition. So when he's still transitioning from throwing his punch and trying to get back on defense, you got to be quick on the transition and punch him before he gets back in defense.
Yeah,
but
that's why you
it's
do
too slow.
Speed.
Yeah, he's too slow and he can't get the distance down. He doesn't. By the time he lets the punch go, the other fighter is out of his range. And he falls short with the punches. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So he is 6. Little man is 6. So yeah, straight left hand by Walsh to the body, cleans up with the right hook up top, checks him with a right hook, bounces up and down. Yeah, Walsh, just the more athletic athlete, or the more dynamic athlete, I meant to say. More creative style, can change up his looks, can drop his hands down. Nice straight left hand by Callum Walsh. Another left hand by Walsh with Ocampo coming in. Now Ocampo digs a right hand to the body, and Walsh looked a little uncomfortable there with his back finally touching the ropes for once. Now Walsh, near the corner, has to tie Ocampo up, and maybe this is where Ocampo's got to get started here and get it going. Yeah, Walsh near the ropes. Again, clinching Ocampo again. Ocampo trying to close the distance. Gets Walsh back to touch the ropes again. Can't make it work yet, but yeah, Ocampo getting closer now in distance. Oh, nice explosive combination, though, by Walsh. Just more explosive than Ocampo, man. Outlanding him 2-1 there. And investing to the body better than Ocampo's been able to. He's landed some good body shots with both hands. So 36-21 connect advantage for Callum Walsh right now. Ocampo's still getting checked by a right hook. Walsh with his hands down picks him up to his chest a little bit. But Walsh is feeling a little bit of the pressure and the steadiness of Ocampo this round. Oh, nice left hand to the body by Walsh, and he cleans up with the right hook. He does that over and over again. He changes the levels on his punch selection. And he's been walking Ocampo into body shots. Decent timing, knowing when Ocampo's trying to cut the distance, and he picks the right time to nail him to the body. But Ocampo's taking the power of Walsh very well. Nothing, and this is a guy who got stopped to the body by Errol Spence in a round, stopped by Tim Tszyu. But he's taking some withering body shots by Walsh very well. Man, commentating this is just weird. I'm sorry, Chad. This is the worst, most awkward round by round you'll ever hear me call. It's just something about it is weird for your boy. Is that wrong of me? So... Yep. Nice exchange on the ropes. Walsh wins that exchange with his back near the ropes. Yeah, you might want to just listen to Andre Ward and Max Kellerman's commentary. It's probably a lot less awkward and dead than mine is right now. I think I got too many competing thoughts going through my mind watching this first Zuffa card. But yeah, I got Walsh ahead 40-36. 4 rounds is it. Pretty easy fight to score. Good body work, good level changes with his combination. Too rangy, a little too athletic for Carlos Ocampo, who's trying to be slow and steady and win the race that way, but just not athletic enough, quick enough. And Walsh, again, kind of fights like Conor McGregor. Who is winning the story of the fight? Walsh is winning the story of the fight. But he does look a little less comfortable in spots than he did against Vargas Jr. Ocampo his punch resistance is holding up well. Hey son, if you're a little bored, you could go back upstairs, okay? I'll be done soon. Okay?
Okay.
You want to tell everyone have a good night?
Have a good night.
All right, love you, son. I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay.
Round 5.
Mom. I'm leaving.
Go ahead.
Just wait for the.
Oh, best damn commentary. Oh, well, I appreciate that. All right, so Walsh, yep, lead left hand. Ocampo, again, slowly trying to close the distance. He has closed the distance a little bit more in the 4th and the 5th round, but hasn't been able to get off anything too effective. And again, Walsh is doing a good job of still timing him coming in at times to the body, to the head, sweeping shots. But I don't see from Walsh, you know, if he was in there with a Janabek or something like that, he'd be in trouble. But yeah, he's fighting a very decent fight right now. And again, he kind of reminds me of Conor McGregor stylistically. Straight left hand by Walsh. Walsh is slowing down though. He came out hot out the gates, and he has tapered down a little bit. But Ocampo, man, he doesn't have that precision. Like he's getting closer to Walsh, but doesn't have that timing and that nice placement to the body. You know, he's just following him around the ring and waiting on him and not able to time him up and time his movement and place a body shot or something like that. And he's not probing his lead hand. He's not moving his head. He doesn't have that punch placement. Walsh is in front of him right now, and he's not able to follow through on his right hand. A couple of jabs to follow up a pawing kind of range-finding right hand. Another range-finding right hand by Ocampo in the center of the ring. pause with his jab, and he eats a sweeping left hand, withering left hand in the body. But Walsh is doing the same sequences kind of over and over again. He'll sweep a left hand to the body and then try to clean up with a lead right hook. He'll also shift around a little bit and then do a lead left hand up top. But kind of the same sequences over and over again that Ocampo hasn't really found an answer for. So, yeah. Another 5th round for Walsh. Ocampo just outgunned on the outside. Can't get off. Can't muster anything effective. You know, he's being composed. There it is. There's the best moment of the fight for Ocampo, taking advantage of Walsh jumping in with shots a little off balance, and he actually caught him with a left hook right hand in between shots. That's the best sequence so far for Ocampo, at least since the first round, if not the entire fight. Lead left hand lands for Ocampo, but he's lost some steam. Yeah, that was a closer 5th round. So this is a sparring session, says Panama. Yes, it is. So yeah, chat. Am I tripping? Is it just me being me, feeling just a little something like odd watching this, or you guys watching with commentary and everything, watching at home? We got 130 people in the chat. Let me know, what do you guys think at home? Is it just, you know, because when I first tuned in, it's like it's boxing. Like, this is what we do. We watch good fights, and I was enjoying the preliminaries, and then as the night went on, it got a little bit weird when they kept selling it so much, and I felt like the energy of what it really is started to settle into the broadcast, and it felt a little odd, and I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, though. It could just be a me thing. The event is dull. It isn't you at all, bro, says Tay-Day. Okay. All right. See, but you got love for your boy, Tay-Day. So, you know, of course you're going to back your boy on this. You know. No, you're good. It feels forced. Got it. Bad matchmaker. I actually think the matchmaker is good. Just this main event ain't the best. But he lit it up pro box style earlier in the night. I give the matchmaker some props on that. But I don't know. It just feels like a corporate play. I don't know. Like not like some weird, you know, gangster shit play. Like, this feels like, you know, the sanitized corporate structure powers are putting on. It just feels, I don't know, man. I can't even articulate it right now. It's a vibe. So, but back to the action. Callum Walsh bouncing around. Ocampo may have actually won that 5th round. He's getting closer to Walsh, and Walsh's technique is coming apart a little bit. And he doesn't have the best technique out of the gates. It's just he's kind of athletic and rangy. Ocampo, though, has gotten closer to him now. Some of those body shots are getting in, and Walsh's accuracy is leaving him. Yeah, Walsh's accuracy is leaving him a little bit. And his form, his technique. Good 2 body shots by Ocampo. I don't think Walsh liked it with his back against the ropes. Sweeping left hand, right hook up top by Walsh. Walsh touches with a right hand, exits out to his right. Walsh near the ropes. And 1:15 left in the round. This could be an Ocampo round. Ocampo is gaining a little bit of momentum in there as Walsh's form and accuracy has deteriorated a little bit in the last 2 rounds. Left hook, down goes Walsh. He came in off balance. The referee calls it a knockdown. Yep, there you go. He jumps in with his punches, and once he's getting a little bit winded now, his technique isn't as good. So that left hook knocks him off balance. Straight left hand by Walsh after the knockdown. Another straight left hand by Walsh after the knockdown. Ocampo's trying to time him to the body in between those straight left hands. But Ocampo really has life now. Nice 3-punch combination by Ocampo after eating a straight left hand. Digs in 2 body shots. And I would kind of get a kick out of Ocampo winning this fight, because Callum Walsh is their golden boy. Headbutt, exchanges, but Ocampo getting the better of it to the body now. Timing him to the body. Ocampo, give him credit, has stuck with it. and stayed composed even when he was outgunned in the first 4 rounds. Walsh's back touches the ropes. Straight left hand by Walsh, but Ocampo is walking through those shots now, and he says, yeah. He nods to himself, going back to the corner. This is either 5-1 or 4-2. Walsh has a lead built up from the first 4 rounds, but you could have given the 5th round to Ocampo. That was as much as poor form by Walsh on the knockdown, jumping in, getting hit with a shot. I got to see it again. Might have even hit him on the shoulder and sent his glove to the canvas. Let's see. Yeah, he got hit more on the shoulder, on the back, but it's from his form, his technique deteriorating and getting off balance. So they may overturn that with a replay, though. Boxing, you did say 9-7-4-1. You did say you could see Walsh getting dropped. I see it. Walsh is their golden boy. Chase the coin. Damian Ward said, I'm excited about it, though. I hope it gets better, and they need the sanctions to have the guys getting ranked. This show is boxing without its charm. Got it. Hey, I told everybody, bro. Yeah, I hear you. But all right, round 7. This fight is heated up now. There's some drama here. Will their golden boy actually fumble this first inaugural card as a headliner? I don't know. Ocampo's got to still pick it up. Ocampo digging to the body, trying to dig to that body, and Walsh saying, come on, keep it up. But that left hook to the body got in clean in the center of the ring. Round 7. And Walsh is breaking down a little bit, but I don't know if Ocampo is consistent and good enough to push him over an edge, so to speak. But nice right hook by Walsh in the exchange, but Ocampo is walking through the fire now and has gained confidence and momentum. Sweeping right hand of the body. Another sweeping right hand of the body lands for Ocampo. Ocampo has stayed consistent to the body the last couple rounds. Walsh stays in front of him. And again, not great body language by Walsh. They exchange, and it's Ocampo getting a little bit the better. Those exchanges are a little sloppy. They're like skirmishes. Right uppercut to the body by Ocampo. There's the placement to the body that's been missing all night. And it's gotten better the last couple rounds as Walsh's ranginess and bounce has slowed down for him. His movement. Another right hand of the body lands for Ocampo. Sweeping right hand up top for Ocampo. Walsh catches part of it. Now Ocampo has Walsh coming forward, and he's giving a little bit of movement. So the momentum is swung to Ocampo here. Since if they keep that knockdown, they might overturn it because it wasn't a real clean landing shot. Right uppercut through the high guard lands for Ocampo in the center of the ring. He's beginning to time and place his punches now. Minute 20 left. Right uppercut followed up by a left hook, caught on the glove. Another right uppercut, left hook by Ocampo. Then he bounces and resets his range. Lead right hook for Walsh, but these are sloppy punches, not with the placement and accuracy that they had earlier and the zip they had earlier. Minute left in the round. Ocampo needs to put his foot on the gas here. Now he's dropping his hands, bouncing around, playing some of Walsh's game when he needs to stay consistent in this moment and not let Walsh catch a second win and regain control of the fight. 45 seconds left. Nice jab lands for Walsh and pops the head up of Ocampo. Clean jab right there. 38 seconds left. In the center of the ring. Lead right hook lands for Walsh, but he eats a right hand, pulling straight out. 25 seconds left in the round. Walsh with both his hands down at his side, bouncing in and out, or not bouncing in and out, but bouncing up and down. And Ocampo, this is how you let a fight like this get away from you when you start to build some momentum, is you don't stay with your foot on the gas. And that's allowing Walsh to slow it down, catch his breath, get his bounce going again. I gave that round to Ocampo for sure, but he could still cough up this momentum he summoned the last couple of fights. Rounds. Ocampo killing the body right now, yeah. Chase the Coin says this league is looking trash so far, can't lie. Yeah, but you can't judge it out the gate because if things continue the way they're going, they can eventually have a monopoly and have all the best fighters in the world. What I'm more interested in is something about this just feel off. The corporate structure of it all, is it something in the soul of it all just throwing it off to where even if they had the fighters you wanted to see, would something not feel right about it? You know? And I also do wonder if these guys have had a talking to, hey, we want a certain exciting style fight. No Tom and Jerry. Like, I wonder if that's affecting the style of which some of these fights are being fought. But I don't know. What is it? 5-2 Walsh with Ocampo getting a knockdown? Yeah, that sounds about right. They're allergic to throwing jabs. I don't get it. You've hardly seen jabs tonight. And that's what makes me, little things like that make me wonder that. So they just gave the last round to Walsh. I thought that was an Ocampo round. And I'm not listening to the broadcast, so I don't know if they're allowing Ocampo to keep the 10-8 round. They don't have it scored a 10-8 round because instant replay may have overturned that. They can do that in Nevada. So round 8. Oh, a nice right hook, straight left hand. And Ocampo's letting Walsh build control of the fight again because he didn't keep his foot on the pedal when he started to swing the momentum. Walsh is gaining some pep in his step back. Good left hook to the body, though, by Ocampo in between the exchanges. But Walsh is getting off first again and beginning to catch him up top with the straight left hand and the right hook combinations. Nice straight left hand by Walsh walking Ocampo into it. Ocampo following up with 4 or 5 punches, but not super accurate there. The best shot in that sequence was the straight left hand by Callum Walsh. I kind of can't wait for this fight to be over and just hang out with Leo. This just feels weird for your boy. I'm sorry, chat. I do apologize. Will I be watching Adam 22 on the stream? I will not. I will not. Replay said it was a knockdown. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for the update. So, yeah, their scorekeeper is terrible. The scorecard, Coach Skip, who I got love for. I know Coach Skip from the Fight Capital Gym. Nice man. I like him. But he hasn't been a good judge. And he's more of an MMA guy, I thought, Coach Skip. So, whatever. Skipper Kelp. Now, let's just see if Ocampo can... Straight left hand by Callum Walsh in the center of the ring. Walsh holding on. Yeah, Walsh came out the gates hot, but... Dana, during the press conference, didn't even have answers. That was weird to me. He was just hoping for the best, which is cringe. Yeah, I didn't even watch the full presser. I saw a few clips. Yeah, Ocampo fumbled his momentum that he was building up after the knockdown. He's letting Walsh breathe, get distance, and pop shot him. Nice right hand by Walsh, pops his head up. Blood coming from Ocampo's nose. You know, Walsh doesn't know how to lose. Ocampo does. You got to show him how to lose. You got to stay on him. 1-2 by Walsh. Ocampo doing more smiling than punching. It's almost like he's just happy that he got a knockdown and worked his way back into the fight and gave it a good fight, you know. This has maybe been the most dull fight on the card. Fight feels sloppy. It does. Yeah, see, Ocampo bangs his heads and goes, yeah, but you lost that round, bro. You fumbled the momentum you built for a few rounds there. And now the other guy is 2 rounds away from winning this fight. So, Ocampo is following the script, said Panama. Damn, man. I told myself, well, I don't know if I'll ever apply for a credential. Maybe not. But, maybe I should because it's boxing at the end of the day. And that is the sport I love. And I chose to be dedicate my life to. And then I said, well, maybe not. And we'll always do our thug thizzle down here in the basement. But something about this first night is I don't know if I'll even do that. It just feels too awkward. I can't deliver the same kind of energy I would on... Yeah, even a turkey show for some reason doesn't feel like this to me. And this is technically a turkey show. I mean, Riyadh season's everywhere. So it's like he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to try to subvert the United States infrastructure and sports wash for his country. He's playing his part. This feels like, subversion from within, which is dirtier, which is like, a different level for your boy. I don't know. It's the apex. All fights there feel soulless. It's the metapex, right? It's the metapex. Yeah, I don't ever watch MMA, so I've heard what people say. I've heard what MMA fans have been saying, and I get it. Ocampo gets a point deducted for a low blow. His head was being held down, and that makes up for the point knockdown for the golden boy of the card. So, yeah, but again, it's like, okay, when Turkey's doing it, it's like, well, yeah, of course, he's supposed to do that. He's from Saudi Arabia and could give a fuck about this country. But this feels like subversion from within. So, a couple of lead straight left. Walsh is on his way to win this fight. Uh-huh. Lead left hands, rangier, bouncing in up and down. That kind of Conor McGregor lead left hand from the Irishman. Good movie, by the way. The fight is not even worth the set. It's not Kenny Powers. We're not busting out a set, bro. Save the super chat for the 10. Not worth the set. Not worth the push-ups. Damn, man, I want to be reasonable here. I might have to just be straight up hater. I don't know, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I watch a lot of boxing that is boring. Like, I put on a lot of DAZN fights that put me to sleep. But it just feels weird. I'm not acting like there's been good action. I really like Robert Merriweather. There's some damn good. The Julian Rodriguez fight was technically fire. It was a war. Callum Walsh got some ranginess to him. He's been landing some nasty body shots on the outside and then pulling straight out, or making the other guy fall short, cleaning up with the hook. There was vicious exchanges early in this fight. I'm not saying there hasn't been action. There has. I'm not saying there hasn't been competitive matchmaking. There has been. But just something feels weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Max Kellerman just said Walsh is fighting like Roy Jones. No, he didn't. No, you're not. You're rage baiting me in the chat. He didn't say that. Did he say that? I guess KSI, when he jumps up and down with his two hands down in the Tommy Fury fights like Roy Jones. Yep, Walsh is on his way to winning. He did? Oh, well. How much did he say that this is the greatest main event ever too? Did he talk about how amazing is he giving the hard sell on, and this is the kind of fights you can and these are the kind of fights you can expect. So Zuffa is making Pro Box look like prime HBO with Lampley. This fight is trash. Yeah, but they had good fights earlier. What's up, Bebop Jones? Glad I just listened to the show and understand. Yeah, hey man, I don't want to sound like a little whiny bitch. Okay, I'm trying to. You guys gotta keep me in check here. All right, don't just feed me the catnip of saying yes, it feels weird and everything. Tell me the truth now. He just compared Walsh to Roy. I'm done. He said, "Oh well, hey." Well, can we compare KSI and the Tommy Fury fight to Roy Jones? He bounced around with his both hands down and did lead left hands. So we can, that opens the door for that comparison, I think. I love Max, always will. That's like, MJ, but might be Wizard. No. I want to respect the heroes I grew up looking up to. All right, last round. Thank God. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Callum Walsh bouncing up and down. And yeah, let's just say Walsh should win this fight. He's on his way. I thought we were boycotting Dana White and Zuffa. Switch over to DAZN and Golden Boy. They have a show right now? I thought the Raul Curiel fight was their last show for a minute. I'm looking forward to the damn Matchroom Top Rank show, Morataya Cruz, tomorrow. That'll feel a lot better for your boy. Joe Rogan's going to be calling pro boxing. That works, I guess. Okay, straight left hand for Walsh. Ties up Ocampo. Yeah, Ocampo definitely fumbled whatever momentum he had building in 5 and 6 and 7. Ocampo, he fumbled that momentum and gave Walsh the space he needed to breathe, the pace he needed to breathe, lost his body attack, got a point deducted, and so Walsh will walk away with this fight. So, Pro Box is better than this, Panama. Co spazzed out. What do you think about that, Sean? I thought it was hilarious, but very unprofessional. He's lucky that he's even still has the fight on. And actually, watching Khalil Ko in the gym, it did make me notice, like, him and Jesse Hart, all the antics they had, and sometimes the antics can be fun, but I'm like, this is part of why they're at the level they're at and not at the true championship level. No offense. Khalil's cool as fuck. I had a great interview with him. He had high-level sparring with Ethan Smith, a kid on the rise, 4-0. Who might be fighting for Zuffa probably one day, the way things are going. But it was like, you see, that you blowing the weight and everything. This is why you're just, a good fighter, a good fighter, but you're not really going anywhere in the championship level long term. So, Sean, who you got, Ryo or the other dude? I got to watch Diego Torres more. I know he fought Raymond Murataya, and Murataya beat him. I'm sorry, Dominic. No idea. Don't care. Sorry for the super chat. I don't care is the answer. Man. It might be the quote of the night. Sean, maybe the card is good. It's just Walsh, who isn't the main eventer, can't close the show. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm fair with you feeling that way for sure. There was some good action throughout the card, but again, something is not right to me. It's probably just me. Probably not. I have no idea. I don't think I'm in a good place to judge it right now. I think when you make a stink about it as much as I did heading into it, I don't know if I'm the right man to judge it fairly, completely on its first night. When I first tuned in, I was like, the broadcast is sharp. Max and Andre are Max and Andre. They're great at what they do. And then, I just sat on the couch and I felt it started to drift a little bit. And it was like they came out the gates enthusiastic and everything. And then I felt like it started to drift a little bit. And then when they kept selling and selling and selling, it was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if this feels right. So, thank you, Dominic. Said, no problem, Sean. Here's another super chat. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that so much. So, we are about to conclude the worst round by round I've ever done on this channel. So, and I tell you what, if this is how I'm gonna be every time, I might have to make the professional decision to just not commentate them then, and just watch them at home and then talk about the fight with Raheem or in a post-fight reaction. Because if I have all these weird feelings going on during the fight, I don't know if I should waste your guys' time with a live, unless you just want to hear me riff and bullshit and say the weird things going through my head from time to time. So. So was this the savior? Is this what we all needed? Is this what boxing was? No, I mean, got to be fair, because it's their first card. They're going to tread water a little bit talent-wise until the gates really open up and the monopoly can be formed. So I haven't seen one jab for Callum Walsh. He did a couple of power jabs. At times, and they did land and knock Ocampo's head up. Keep going live, Sean. I'm definitely going live next week. That'll be a return to form next week for Josh Kelly, Bakram Murtazaliev, the whole Shakur Teo card, and for Xander Zayas, Avis Barral. I'll be on point for that, but this was just kind of, I don't know. Maybe I should have left this one in the vault. All right, Callum Walsh wins. Awesome. Great. Okay. Did everybody enjoy that? Everybody enjoy that? Cool. 58% of people did. Good. Boxing is saved. That was fantastic. I'm gonna go play Final Fantasy X with my son. Is there anything we got to touch on before we get out of here? And I actually no, give you the people, give me your concluding thoughts on this, good and bad. Um, Before we get out of here, I genuinely want to read everybody's intake from the first Zuffa boxing card. I will sum it up by saying, good pro box style matchmaking. Robert Merriweather to me is an excellent prospect. Production was slick. The pacing of the cards was quick, quick, quick. Some of the pre-fight packages were good. Other ones were cookie cutter. The show's commentary started very strong and then drifted into a lot of selling of Zuffa boxing, where if you could take a shot every time they try to sell you on Zuffa boxing, you'd be pissed, drunk, or dead. Solid action throughout. I had started to ask myself, are they being incentivized to fight in the pocket as much as possible? Kind of like Dana tells those guys, we want more stand-up and less wrestling. Main event was very underwhelming. I don't think Callum Walsh is a real championship level fighter. He is athletic to a degree and rangy, but will get beat, I think, by a better fighter. But his length and his awkwardness and some of his ranginess and athleticism could pose problems to guys. So maybe on the level of an Emil Williams, who's fighting for a world title against Carlos Adames. And middleweight's a very weak division, so nothing's out of the question there. Overall, I just felt it had a weird vibe to it all. A weird, I can't even articulate it. The corporate would be too simple-minded a way to put it. I think people that may hold the same feeling as me know the same feeling in their gut they had watching it that I'm talking about right now. I apologize for not really having a good round-by-round call, probably the worst I've ever done. But I want to thank everybody who did come out tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. So let's see. So Pad said some decent fights. Overall, show felt soulless and corporate. Fair. The whole card was dog shit. Harsh. Walsh versus Castano. I haven't seen Brian Castano in forever. The youth says good. Bebop Jones said, God don't like ugly. Ooh, bars. I feel you. Bars, Bebop Jones. Damian Ward said, definitely a C- grade. I think that's fair. Boxing Magic Mex side said stage fights, they have no meaning. Wolf said, my conclusion, go play with your little man, Sean. Maybe you and us can think of something nice to say about this tomorrow morning. I said some nice things for sure. But yeah, I hear you. This was boxing without the personality, or I would say soul. Joe G, thank you. I'll give it a C, says Chase the Coin. Felt like every fight was a preliminary fight. I was waiting for the main event. I think that could come along at some point. They will, if this keeps up, get the talent. Tay Day said should have left this one in the fall. Yeah. Look, man, I've been to a lot of press conferences with PBC and Top Rank where it's like, what are you doing? This is so out of touch. And Kakamimi and Bush League. But it had a soul. Does that make any sense? Am I being too, stupid about this? But yeah. A guy called Henry has messaged you. Go collab with him. Hey, shout out to a guy called Henry, man. I gotta collab more. Did he call me just now, or was that? I know it was about 2 months ago on we were doing simultaneous lives. But shout out to a guy called Henry. But yeah, even when I cover those Kakamimi press conferences in the bowels of Mandalay Bay and it was cold, and I'm like, why is Mario Barrios fighting Keith Thurman on a pay-per-view coming off a loss when he's never fought at 147, and Keith Thurman hasn't fought for 2 years, and why is it on a pay-per-view? And why is there 18 people here? And why is this going to do like 30,000 pay-per-view buys? But I don't know. It had a weird, it still felt like boxing. I don't know. That might just be me. I like the Cardenas fight. I like the Cardenas fight, and I liked Robert Merriweather a lot. I like Robert Merriweather a lot. Dude, fuck Zuffa. Stop covering this silly promotion. I appreciate your input. It was a card right now. It was a good card. I'm excited about Zuffa, says Hot Rod. Respect to you, Hot Rod. I know you're not the only one. There's definitely people who probably appreciated the quality matchmaking throughout and the fact that every fight had action. Except for the main event was an anticlimactic one. But yeah, there's definitely going to be people who liked it. So it'd be cool if this was the new Friday Night Fights, says Joe G. Okay, fair enough, right? But I don't think that's the overall vision they're going for. So yeah. But yeah, all right. Has anyone else played Final Fantasy X? Anybody else beat Sin's ass? You know, any of that? Before I get out of here. Felt like I was watching undisputed boxing gameplay. Yes, because that game is soulless, even though I've played it a lot and had fun with it a lot, but it's kind of broken now. But yeah, that's a good one, UBZ Beats. I think my favorite comment was UB Bop a couple minutes ago. Let's see. Yeah, that's my last one, chat. Anybody else ever beat Final Fantasy X? Me and my son are about to play some Final Fantasy X. I think the highlight of the night was, if I'm being objective, was the Carl Kanai sweater. I think right, chat, like we can, right, like all jokes aside, the Carl Kanai sweater probably in all likelihood, if we're being objective here and fair, was the highlight of the stream, if not the entire night. So Callum Walsh didn't impress me, said Virtuoso. I played Final Fantasy X years ago. It's a classic, Panama. I'm beating it again. I beat it as a teenager. I put my boy onto it. Childed Garcia, good to see you, brother. Said, not bad for his first event. Was Walsh the only dude without Zuffa gloves? No, there was a few without it. The youth said Agenda 2030 boxing vibe. Callum Walsh, not world champion caliber, says Chicken Crook. Virtuoso said the Rodriguez fight earlier was a banger. It was a banger. So was the Merriweather fight. Cashflow's fight was fun to watch too. How many days does PPC have on the schedule? 0 right now. And Top Rank, outside of the Zayas card, which is going to be on YouTube, the best channel in the world, has like no other dates either. Sean with the cut, blessings. Walsh chips. Walsh chip. Is that anyway? Good to see you, Tego. Thank you. I think the joke went over my head. PBC is done. Yeah, maybe. It's not looking good. Carl Kanai for the win. Yes, the point of the night. Am I playing Fight Night forever? No, I'm too simple-minded to know how to download the mods and everything. That's on me. I need to get better. I just learned how to download Sega Dreamcast emulators. Getting mods for Fight Night, someone could walk me through that one day. That'd be nice. I want to download All Pro Football 2K8 with the mods that give you the 1993 roster. That's my dream, but I can't do it. You got to get the ISO files and the BIOS files, and the Dreamcast emulators are just easy to download, and everything else is kind of complicated. That's why Zuffa is going to take over. They might, probably. Good chance. Let's see. But, all right, chat. I'm going to get out of here. God bless. Much love to all of you guys. Sorry that it wasn't the best live, but I do appreciate you guys coming in. But don't let this dissuade you from next Saturday. I'll be locked in on Point all day long. Bakram versus Kelly, the Shakur Tiafimo card. Let's get it. God bless everybody.